Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts, and we have a fun episode today. We're going to go over the actual research and usage of PEA, palmitoyl ethanolamide. Many of you have been trying it, and really, most of you, if not, a vast majority of you, are noticing really good things from it. And those of you who are trying it and you haven't noticed anything yet, just give it at least 2 weeks before you really judge it, because it does take a little time to build up in the system. And yeah, then you will notice, I believe you will notice more and more improvements over time. So what we're going to go over today, we're going to do a lot of live chat Q&A. So for those of you who want your questions asked first, feel free to post them first. And then if you want it really done first, then you can do a super chat if you choose to, and we'll get to that. Hello to everyone in the chat. Sorry, I'm starting late. Yeah, about a half hour late. I'll just give you guys a quick update. I drove from Tucson to Idaho in my truck the last 3 days before this, so it was a 2.5 day drive, and brought my stuff up here to Idaho. And so I'm on my new setup in the in what Kelsey and I call the lab. So I'm out in a little, I call it a fancy shed, but yeah, it's going to be the new studio, and Kelsey will have her stuff to work in here. My son will have his drums in here. I'll have my studio and my setup, my computer here, and it'll be fun. So anyway, I'm a little tired from the 1,600-mile drive and unloading the car yesterday and getting the computer set up and all that stuff. So we're doing an easy show today because I decided to. Kelsey may join us. There's no promises, but she may join us. So if she does, those of you who have questions for her, feel free to ask. And we've been talking about doing kind of a new Q&A, maybe a YouTube subscriber thing where Kelsey and I and you guys could join it if you wanted and ask us all sorts of questions.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, Kelsey, so are you going to be here for a bit?
Hello. What? Well, I'll be here for this. So the Q&A.
Okay.
Just going over the stuff.
No, I'm going over PEA and the colds and flus first.
Yeah.
So.
I don't have much to say.
Okay. Well, when you do, I have a mic for you. So
okay.
Anyway.
I'll come in later.
Kelsey will join us later for the Q&A. I'll send her a message when she's needed. Anyway, okay, so let's get into it. Let me share my screen. So we're going to go over the research. Let me do that and zoom in. Oh, Joe put the link. Joe, can you put this link in the live chat? That'd be great. So PEA has been shown in the research to literally prevent colds and flus. And it was approved as reimbursable by the Spanish government. We'll go over that for something like 20 years. So the Spanish government and insurances could reimburse doctors for literally using PEA because, well, they must have found it worked. And it probably worked too well, and that's why they stopped using it. Because they're not really interested in people not being sick. So, well, let's head into it. So anyway, Joe, you're showing you got this up? Okay, cool. So this is just a link to the YouTube video if you guys get stuck on that doc and you want to come back here. I'm going to open up each one of these separately. So I'll just move to each link as we do it. And let me find my highlights here. Where's my refresh? There. Wait, there it is. Oh, I didn't mark much on this one. Okay. I was a little behind in marking stuff on this, and some of my GLASP pages, Joe, I sent them emails about this. Some of the GLASP is not highlighting. Anyway, this is a big research paper. If you want to go and look at this, a big, what's the word I'm looking for? Review paper. This is a big review paper from 2021. Now, again, remember, folks, very few of us, like many of you, some of you, few of you were recommended PEA before. And maybe you did it, maybe you didn't. Maybe you did it, maybe you didn't. I've been in this game a while, as you guys know, and I had never heard of it. So we'll just hit, this is kind of a generic paper. I wanted to hit on this. PEAs, this is the mistruth they're saying. PEAs, poor oral bioavailability, a major obstacle in early research, has been overcome by advanced delivery systems now licensed as food supplements. So when we go over the PEA research today and we show how effective it was, again, if you go and watch the episode last week about PEA and how to use it and how to take it, the micronized and the ultra micronized PEA, which we do not recommend, only came out in recent years. So PEA built this massive reputation in the research as working before these companies tried to come out and patent it. Does this sound a lot like, I don't know, like pharma in general, where they aren't really interested in promoting something unless they can patent it? And as we went over before, the ultra micronized may have PVP, polyvinyl pyrrolidine, added to it, and things that you don't want. And micronizing it will heat it, which it's a lipid-based compound. You don't want to overheat lipids. We should all know this. So the quote-unquote lie in the research is that PEA has poor bioavailability. That is not true. They may see a little bit more go up in your blood, but does the blood show what tissue levels are, and does that even matter if you get results? So again, we don't recommend micronized or ultra micronized. So let's get into the next one. Oh, come on. I'm guessing that all these verification things are for AI purposes so that they can kind of screen out the AI, but the AI seems to get past all of it. So, but let's get into this. So the title here, palmitoyl ethanolamide, a natural body own, as in your body can make it, anti-inflammatory agent, effective and safe against influenza and common cold. Joe, I need to get rid of that stupid pop-up thing on here. How do I get rid of this? I don't know. That's a GLASP thing, too. I need that to disappear. Anyway, we're going to have some issues today. Sorry about that. Oh, Joe says maybe hitting escape will do it. Nope. They just decided to put crap on my screen. Thanks, GLASP, because I need AI companion reminders all the time. Okay, we'll just read this. We'll do it as we can. So this is a review paper. So they're looking at a bunch of papers. We're going to go into the papers that they go over, but I wanted to hit on this review so you can just see. Research on PEA has been conducted for more than 50 years. Remember, micronized and ultra micronized are new. So they were doing all this research before it supposedly didn't work. And over 350 papers are referenced in PubMed describing the physiological properties of this endogenous modulator and its pharmacological and therapeutical profile. As I went over last week, there's only 59 papers that mention micronized or ultra micronized PEA, and PEA was mentioned without the words micronized or ultra micronized 1,016 times on PubMed. So do not fall for the micronized idea. The major focus of PEA research since the work of the Nobel laureate Levi Montalcini in 1993. So that does, okay, so you guys need to understand that does make it my initial reaction to that, and Kelsey's initial reaction to that is, wait, somebody who won the Nobel Prize worked on this stuff? That should make it sus, right? It's very suspicious. It's like ivermectin, where everybody's like, oh, a guy won a Nobel Prize about it. No. And then when it's being pushed by mainstream, so if you see a Nobel Prize and it's being heavily pushed by mainstream, that you run away from. But here we have somebody, a Nobel Prize winner, who did lots of research on PEA, and it was approved by the Spanish government to be reimbursed. It was on their list of medicines, and now nobody talks about it. Then you start going, wait, this is like flush niacin. Funny that we made the KG lipid cleanse last week about two things that the drug company world was interested in, their supplements, that then they abandoned and now try to generally discourage. So that's where you start to go, oh, this must work. So the major focus has been neuropathic pain states and mast cell related disorders. So if you have histamine problems or allergy problems or nerve pain, burning pain, neuropathy, that's where most of the research is on it now. They kind of abandoned the colds and flus idea. Why would they do that? It is less known that 6 clinical trials in a total of nearly 4,000 people were performed and published last century, before micronized and ultramicronized, specifically studying PEA as a therapy for influenza and the common cold. Wow. Let's see. Since 2008, PEA has been marketed as a food for special medical purposes in Italy and Spain under the brand name Normast. Recently, a food supplement named P-Pure, which is just a silly name, was introduced. In the USA, PEA is under evaluation as a nutraceutical for IBS. Proposed brand name Recoclix, and they even got Nestle's even getting on it, but it won't come out. They can't patent it. At least the way we understand patents, right, is that if it occurs in nature, and especially if it is made by the human body, they can't patent it. So it's funny that they're looking into it, because that must mean it does work, but they can't sell it as a pharmaceutical, and nobody's going to pay the prices for it when it's already a supplement. So I don't quite understand what they're trying to do with it, unless they're going to try to convince people away from it, like all the natural health people, by kind of making it a quote unquote drug that then half the people out there say, I won't touch this because Nestle's involved. Okay. So you got to think of this. Sometimes they will, it's like where mainstream pushed everybody away from ivermectin, and then the other side jumped on it because it was the forbidden fruit effect. Well, this could be the opposite of that. Okay. So was there anything else on here that we wanted to go over? Let me see. GLASP. Right here. Okay. This review on the role of PEA as an anti-inflammatory agent and as a therapeutic agent for influenza and the common cold discusses 6 clinical trials on a total of nearly 4,000 patients and volunteers where PEA's effectiveness and safety for the treatment of these indications was shown. It worked. Furthermore, since the focus on respiratory inflammation and flu between 1971 and 1980, PEA has also been extensively tested in a great variety of animal models for a number of other indications, such as central and peripheral neuropathic pain, pain and osteoarthritis, traumatic brain injury, multiple sclerosis, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, that's Lou Gehrig's disease if you didn't know, Alzheimer's disease, irritable bowel disease, interstitial cystitis, and other visceral as in organ pain states. Consistently, the effective dose range has been between 10 and 30 milligrams of PEA per kilogram of body weight. So for those of you who don't know how that works, you would take your body weight, and for you Americans out there, you would take your body weight in pounds, you divide it by 2.2. That will give you your kilograms of body weight. And then you could multiply it by anywhere from 10 to 30 milligrams. And that would give you the range. So if I'm just going to pick an easy number, a round number here. I'm going to say if somebody weighed 100 kilograms, right? So that would be 220 pounds body weight. So that's a pretty big person, right? 220 pounds divided by 2.2 would give you 100. So that would be, then you take that 100 and you can multiply it by 10. That would be 1,000 milligrams a day. If you multiplied it by 30, that would be 3,000 milligrams per day. So for a big person, 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams a day. If somebody was only half that much, if they weighed 110 pounds, which would be 50 kilos, that would be 500 and 1,500. So, yeah. So let's go see what if I marked anything else on this one. Nope, that's it for that one. Okay. We're back here. Now I want you to understand that this paper, just look at this title, Prophylactic Efficacy. And this is the fancy long name for palmitoyl ethanolamide. And Impulsin is the brand name of a PEA product in acute respiratory tract infections. So they're just talking about colds or flus. So let's get into this one. But prophylactic means preventing. So they're saying how effective it was at preventing colds and flus. So it's not treated. So the idea here is we're not treating. I mean, could you use it once you got sick? Yes. However, as you'll see in the research that we're going to go over, it literally prevents people from getting colds and flus at all. So 2 large-scale, double-blind field trials were conducted to test the efficacy of Impulsin, as in PEA, in reducing the incidence and severity of respiratory tract infections. So preventing it, and if it does happen, is it less? The results suggested that repeated daily intake of Impulsin, 30 milligrams per kilogram, so that's the higher end of the dosing, helped to prevent virus infections of the respiratory tract, since it produced a statistically significant reduction in the incidence of illness. Prophylactic treatment with Impulsin, as in taking PEA on a regular basis before you're sick, markedly diminished the number of episodes of fever, headache, and sore throat, whilst catarrhal symptoms were much less effective. So that's like runny nose type stuff like that. Okay, the fluids coming out of you. Okay, the administration of Impulsin had no effect on the average duration of disability and fever, which suggests that the severity of the diseases was not affected. So again, you take it before you're sick. You don't take it during when you're sick. It's not going to make the cold or flu be less if you take it once you're sick. It will reduce the number of times you get sick. I mean, you people who have been on the Love Your Liver program long enough, you know that you get sick less or not even sick anymore. If you were one of the people who kind of started getting that cough, that's the nickel cough. If you were kind of getting colds or flus and getting the cough or kind of allergy stuff over time doing the Love Your Liver program, that was most likely because of the beans and the whole grains and the nuts and the seeds and the nickel that was in those. And also if you were cooking a lot in an Instant Pot or cooking a lot with stainless steel stuff, this is where that came from over time. So now that we're removing that, this stuff is all gonna fade away. So let's see. I don't think GLASP is working on this site. Nope. No, Joe, this is one of the ones that it's not working on. So we got that. Another Impulsin study we're going to go into. Now, this one didn't have an abstract. Impulsin in the prevention of acute respiratory diseases in school children. And then Czechoslovakia, which is where this was. Look at this, 1977. long before any micronized stuff in Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia was one of the biggest places that loved PEA. So I'm guessing by that title that it means it did prevent acute respiratory infections. I couldn't find this paper on Sci-Hub. I couldn't find it anywhere, but you can kind of guess. We're going to see a pattern here. So let's go to the next one. Again, Czechoslovakia, 1979. Prophylactic administration of Impulsin to clinically healthy children. The effect on T and B lymphocytes in the peripheral blood. Again, there's no abstract. I don't think I could find this one on Sci-Hub either. But if they keep doing studies on it, you can probably be sure that it was working. Other people probably got those papers, and I'm not going to pay for them. So, okay, now we go into another one. Remember that other paper summarized it was 4,000 people that have been studied with these things. And we have, again, 1979. I don't know, Dagmar, you're in the chat. Are these Czech names? They're probably Czech names. Okay. The results of 3 serologically, that means the blood, right? The serum. Serologically controlled double-blind field trials in Army units are presented. So they had a pretty good control of their environment. Pay very close attention. The evaluation of results according to morbidity, regardless of etiology, that's regardless of the cause. So this is like the symptoms that they were experiencing. Okay, Dagmar says those are classic Czech names. So this is Czechoslovakia again. Regardless of the cause, showed a significant reduction in acute respiratory diseases after administration of Impulsin, which is PEA. 1973 trial with 900 volunteers. 22.7% of let's just say colds and flus, acute respiratory disease, were found in the Impulsin group, contrary to 34.4% in the placebo group. Okay, that's good, but it gets better. The relevant values in the 1974 trial with 610 volunteers, 19.7 in the PEA group and 40.7% in the placebo group. So that's twice as much, right? Twice as few, if you will. And the 1975 trial, 10.6, 28.8. So that's like a third, like 2/3 less, just about. Gosh, I wonder why they're not talking about it here when the COOF they didn't start talking. When you see the papers that we go over with PEA related to COOF, they started looking at it again after the COOF. They definitely didn't want it out before that. So, and they talk about which quote unquote virus was for each year. In the 1973 trial, influenza A2 England was prevalent. That was the biggest one, right? The MR is manifestation rate. It's right here. Expressing the proportion of sick persons out of all sensitive subjects with serologically. So they had to find the quote unquote virus or antibodies to the virus in their blood was found useful. I don't follow that kind of science, but after elimination of persons with pre-infection antibodies greater than or equal to 1 out of 256, the corresponding values of manifestation rate were 17.6 and 46.6%. So that's like there were 2.5 times more problems in the placebo group, reflecting the quote relatively clean effect of Impulsin. So they're saying, I believe what they're saying there is they could really tell that the Impulsin did the work. 1974 trial where influenza B Hong Kong was prevalent. Manifestation rate was 14.3 and 57.1% respectively. So that's 3/4 less infections in those who got PEA. The preliminary prophylactic index of the drug seemed to be 4.3 for combined adenoviral infections in the 73 and 74 taken together. So I believe they're saying, I don't know if that means 4.3 times less. Either way. Tommy asks, is it not shutting down detox? No, Tommy, as we've been over, we are seeing people detox more with this. It is not shutting down detox. It is absolutely the opposite. What PEA, we believe, is doing. Oh, and make sure, okay, so you guys, if you're talking to other people about PEA, say the full name to them, palmitoyl ethanolamide. I know it's not easy to say, but there is another one. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So this is one that that Huberman talked about. Joe, you're saying that's not from Glass? Well, unless you figure out if it's from Brave, Joe, then if you look that up on AI, Joe, and you can, if it's from Brave, if you can figure out some instructions on how I can get rid of that, that'd be great. Okay, so I wanted to go over this because this could be a little confusing if you tell people PEA and they buy the wrong one. Phenylethylamine is also known as PEA. That is not palmitoyl ethanolamide. This is the BS compound that they love to tell you is like the love chemical that's in chocolate. Okay? It's sold as a nootropic, which is why Huberman got into it. So to potentially improve mood, focus, and energy with typical doses ranging from 100 to 500 milligrams, although it can cause side effects like anxiety or a rapid heartbeat. Johnny Muscles, no, absolutely not. You do not need to get ultra micronized PEA. That stuff has probably PVP in it, and it is not necessary for it to work. If you want to do ultra micronized PEA, you can, and if you end up with issues from some of the other things that they do to it, like the heat that is created in the processing of it, or if they're using PVP, which would end up being literally in the patent, the PVP ends up being 3% of the weight of it. No, we absolutely advocate against the micronized stuff. I've said that multiple times already here. But anyway, PEA. Phenylethylamine. I tried it once. Kelsey and I were experimenting with it. I did not like it. I did not like it at all. It did not feel good. And this also doesn't sound real great. Chemically, PEA is a colorless liquid with a fishy odor because it's an amine. For those of you who don't know, let's say when ladies have a fishy odor, that is amines coming out. So, Hamza asks, are eggs a good source of PEA? No, we don't. PEA is in the egg yolks. That's where PEA was discovered as a crystalline. All the people out there, all the anti-supplement people are like, we've never isolated a structure of these things. They literally isolated PEA out of egg yolks as a crystalline compound, and now we are using it. But would I want you to have to eat egg yolks to get a minimal amount? Like they started figuring out that PEA worked because they saw when there was like starving orphanage kids. Always remember that lots of medicine, lots of the nutritional basis of science, they try to figure these things out on like starving populations. And so if you give starving populations food, they do better, right? So this is like why in India they think ghee is so amazing, because a lot of people there are literally starving and they give them fat and calories and they get better because they're not starving. And what they saw when they did these egg yolks in these orphanage kids was they got less respiratory infections. But am I going to go and eat egg yolks full of phosphatidylcholine, which I went over last week, as like the more phosphatidylcholine you eat, the more risk of heart disease and early death happens, because the main driver of phosphatidylcholine in the blood is eggs. So I'm not going to eat egg yolks to get the vitamin A and the choline just to get some PEA and then raise my like the literal risk of death from doing that. So no, if you want to obsess about food sources of things, I mean, even the research that I went over in PEA an episode or two ago, they said there's not enough in food to really make the impact that you need. So if you're a food-based person and you want to go that way, that's cool. Like, that's a choice. You can make that choice. But yeah, about the detox stuff, we literally have people who have started, sweating out stuff where they're sweating out yellow stuff into their sheets at night. They are smelling like berberine. They are smelling like butter flavoring. Those are all fatty compounds that they are pushing out of their bodies. So no, PEA does not shut down detox. And your body makes it more. It tries to make more when you have injury or toxicity and all that stuff. And that's your body trying to turn down the inflammation. So no, I have seen no reasons to indicate that this causes problems. And the other thing about it is people think it's like covering stuff up, but I went over one of the papers where they were still seeing benefits from the people who took PEA 5 months later. And there's no withdrawal symptoms. So if there's no withdrawal symptoms and people are seeing benefits 5 months later from a compound that can literally build up in your system in a good way, right? They're still seeing benefits 5 months later and they didn't have withdrawal symptoms. That's not a drug. That's something natural that we are lacking. And it's helping lots of people. So for those of you who are going to, it's kind of weird that now people are trying to look at this. They're really looking at it going, this doesn't fit your stuff, Dr. Smith. And I go, no, this absolutely fits all of it. This is the biggest thing that we have found other than flush niacin that I believe can clean out fatty toxins. Right? I mean, your body can do it, but these compounds literally help. So anyway, that's P. So don't get phenylethylamine confused, because it's also called PEA, with palmitoyl ethanolamide PEA. This is important. Okay, so let me go look at, where was I? I was on here. Yep. So remember, okay, about not getting as many colds and flus, is it stopping detox? No, what if it's literally detoxing stuff that would have caused you to get the cold or flu, and then you don't have to get the cold or flu anymore, which is really, nobody's going to say that the Love Your Liver program stops detox, but then people start getting sick less, right? So this is very important. Oh, Joe, I'll switch. Okay. Sorry, I've got to do I'm not a bot. Okay, we have another, I believe this is another Czechoslovakian study. Those look like Czech names. Oh, Kelsey was adding, yeah, Kelsey found this paper the other day. I don't know if you want to post that paper, Kelsey, but she said hypertrophied scarring. So, like keloid scars, or if you have scars that are way bigger and bumpier and lumpier than they should be. Kelsey found a paper that showed that hypertrophied scarring had been studied and found to have way less PEA. So maybe adding it can break down some hypertrophied tissue was what she was theorizing. Anyway, let's go back to this. So the effect of N2-hydroxyethyl palmitamide, this is the same thing as PEA, impulsin again, you see. An active endogenous compound, which is recommended for preventing virus infection of the respiratory tract. So again, active, it works. This was 1977, right? So it worked before micronized. And it is made within your body. It prevents virus infections of the respiratory tract, which are really toxic dumping. on interferon production in mice stimulated with double-stranded RNA. So they were giving them the double-stranded RNA as a method of poisoning them, I believe, making them sick. And on the course of disease caused by encephalomyocarditis virus. Whatever this toxin is, it's nasty. Inflammation of the myocardium. Yeah. That's nasty stuff. Impulsin itself did not stimulate interferon production. Pay attention here. Impulsin itself did not stimulate interferon production in mice treated per OS or intravenously. This is the important part. But repeated application of this, quote, drug per OS induced a macrophage activation reflected by enhanced interferon production in vitro. So the mice, the white blood cells in the mice started making more interferon on their own. Okay, again, it didn't, so that's why they're saying it didn't make the mice make more interferon, which again, like when you get sick with something, when you get a disease, it's normal for your white blood cells to rise. That's your body trying to clean it up. And this is why we don't use things that in the research, like let's say echinacea, that make your white blood cells go up, because that very thing from an herb is an indicator that you are taking a toxin that your body is fighting against. It's bringing out the cleanup crew. However, if you take something and over time it helps your body to make more of something else, because we literally make PEA and it's a necessary thing in our body, and you give it and your body starts doing what it's supposed to be doing that it wasn't doing before, that's the sign that we want, okay? When the interferon stimulation was delayed until 4 to 10 days after the first dose of Impulsin, interferon response to the double-stranded RNA was slightly increased. So they're seeing good things. Application of this, quote, drug had an inhibitory effect on the toxicity of double-stranded RNA. It inhibited the toxic effect of the double-stranded RNA that they were injecting. Again, see, this is helping detox. It's not suppressing anything. Let's keep going. Oh, we're here on the link sheet. Okay, now I did an AI summary on this, so I'm going to zoom in because I do know Spanish, but I did not know it well enough to do this whole paper. So I'm going to show you guys the link. The link is in there. But I'm not going to read this whole thing. So this is an article from the Spanish government. Okay. So again, I'm not going to go through the Spanish version of it. I'm going to go over this AI summary that I made about it. So yes, I even say this is an AI summary, okay? Palmidrol was another name for PEA. Palmitrol was the accepted, quote, drug name for PEA, also called N-palmitoyl-ethanolamine, and there's the CAS number. It was not merely a brand name for an unrelated respiratory mixture. The Spanish product was sold as Palmidrol Prodes, associated with Almirall Prodes. Sources indicated it was introduced in Spain around 1976. So it's that old, and it's 50 years old as a medication. Yet nobody's talking about it, and it worked. Johnny Muscles, if you want to take ultramicronized, that's fine. I'm still going to continue here to tell people to take the cheaper stuff and get all the benefits and avoid the patented drug-like stuff that, again, they're trying to push because they want the patent, and they may be trying to poison the well about PEA. So you're welcome to do what you want. I'm going to continue saying don't use that stuff. And you can take, okay, so the PEA that's ultramicronized supposedly gives you 80% more in the blood. Is the blood where we're trying to get it? Who knows? Where do we really want it? We want it in the gut to fix leaky gut and all the leaks. Well, Johnny, I know you're trying to help, and you're saying it seems to be much more effective in the research. Oh, Kelsey, can you go find that paper about the PEA? Can you find that, babe? The one where the conflicts of interest were not announced. Actually, I can find it. Hold on, I'll find it. Yeah, this you need to know, Johnny, that companies and researchers will absolutely lie. And yeah, I should have had this one. Let's go in here. Here we go. I'm going to show this real quick. The Journal of Neuroinflammation, 2016. So we're going to go over. So this is the paper. Okay. So I'm on the erratum page. So we're going to go and find. Let me see if they have the original there. Okay. I got this one. Kelsey was showing me this one. And it just so happened that she didn't look. Oh, yeah, Joe, I'll give you the link. Here we go. Here it is. Okay. So, right, superior oral efficacy compared to non-micronized PEA in a rat model of inflammatory pain. Okay, so they're really pushing it. So just, that's all I'm going to go over this. They're saying it's better, right? Got all these Italian authors. Okay, now let's go to the erratum. Did I get off of that one? Where was my erratum? Here. Oh, wait. So yeah. So let's go into this one and let's scroll down to the bottom. Let's scroll down to conflicts of interest. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay. Competing interests. The authors declare that they have no competing interests. Oh, let's see their whoopsie. Let's go look at the whoopsie. Okay, so this is the erratum published later. So again, I tell you that they may just lie to you in studies. So let's go down here. This corrects the article. The authors would like to issue an erratum for this article, as in they made a boo-boo, and would like to declare the following competing interests, which we inadvertently failed to include in our original publication. The authors would like to apologize for this omission. Competing interests. Dr. Salvatore Cusocrea, researcher on the study team, is co-inventor on patent this, which deals with compositions and methods for the modulation of amidases capable of hydrolyzing N-acyl ethanolamines. This is the category that PEA is in. Usable in the therapy of inflammatory diseases. Notice how they left out PEA in there. They just said N-acyl ethanolamines. Moreover, Dr. Cusocrea is also a co-inventor with Epitech Group on the following patents. Well, I'm going to guess that these are related to PEA. No other authors have competing interests. Well, let's just look and see. Was Cusocrea the main author? Let's go back up there to the top. Oh, no, he put himself at the end. Okay, cool. The guy with 4 patents is at the end of it. I wonder if that was on purpose to try to downplay the fact that he was probably like funding this whole thing. Anyway, so you have a glimpse of the potential dishonesty going on in the PEA world, where they say it works so much better. Yeah, here was Cusocrea. Sorry, he was right at the end. So anyway, I don't believe the micronized and the ultra micronized research, especially after seeing this. But yeah, Kelsey showed that, and I went, you know what? Let me go to the end of the article and look up the conflicts of interest, and it said none. But I forget how I did the search, and then all of a sudden I found the erratum. And oh, no, that's where I saw it. I saw it right here. I saw this article has been corrected, and I clicked on that, and then I found the erratum. And then I told Kelsey, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah." So that was pretty bad. Let me get I think I got both the links for you, Joe. I'll send them both either way. So there's the erratum. And Joe, just remind me to add these to the document afterwards, if you would. And there's that one. So there's both of those papers. So yes, things can look good in the research, but remember, researchers can be influenced by things like money because they need money to do research in the first place. So anyway, the 1998 government document, this Spanish government document, lists 2 formulations of palmidrol, right? Both entries have an asterisk indicating that a medical prescription was required. There is there's no significant documented side effects of PEA. Why were they trying to restrict it from people? That's kind of interesting, isn't it? So we see that they don't talk about it, but then they actually restricted it from people, requiring a medical prescription for it. So they were classified under this act, other preparations for the respiratory system. These were the formulations. 500 milligrams of a chewable PEA tablet, a liquid suspension, right? Because drug companies love to make liquid suspensions, so you can't just buy powder or pills, or a bottle containing 24 500 milligram doses. Historical Spanish drug information describes palmidrol as a, quote, antitoxic, as in antitoxin, and non-specific stimulant of the body's defenses against aggression and infection, bacterial or viral. So this, if you see something that's this big in scope, it's basically giving the body what it needed. And it's helping to reduce the toxicity load. Palmidrol's listed uses were prevention of recurring influenza and colds, prevention and treatment of viral and bacterial respiratory infections, natural or treatment-induced immunodeficiency, so when low white blood cells, which is normal in chronic disease, and we help people fix it. Immunodeficiency associated with antibiotics, corticosteroids, or radiation. So toxicity, depleting your immune system, which is your cleanup crew. Adjunctive, used together with antibiotics, purportedly to shorten infectious illness and assist recovery. Wow, using it with antibiotics helped the antibiotics to work better and probably helped people not get as many problems from the antibiotics by the antibiotics damaging the liver. So dosing, a surviving Spanish vademecum monograph gives historical dosages as adults, 2 to 3 grams a day, 2,000 to 3,000 micromilligrams daily. Remember what I told you about a 100 kilogram person, 220 pounds? There was the 10 milligrams per kilogram and the 30 milligrams per kilogram. So adults going up to 3,000 milligrams a day, children 1,000 to 1,500 a day. Well, that's a lot right here, 50 milligrams per kilogram per day. But that may be, and most Spaniards were not 100 kilos, even the men back in the 70s, right? Remember how big and fat everyone's gotten since the 70s. So 50 milligrams per kilogram would be 60 kilos a day, which would be 60 times 2.2 would be 132 pounds. So that's a small man or a woman. Notice how they say here, which is what we do, divided into 2 or 3 doses. Treatment for at least 12 days. Oh, like 2 weeks. Takes a while for it to build up in your system. A maintenance repeat dose once weekly, especially during seasons of changing weather. There's something about the change in the seasons, folks. I am now of the belief that colds and flus are intimately related with nickel dumping. I need to get into the study sometime soon. Maybe Kelsey will come on with me, and we're going to go over the electromagnetic research on nickel and magnetic fields and the sun. There is crazy stuff out there. And funny thing was, the guy who did the research on nickel and antibodies and magnetic fields And the sun or darkness just so happened to be associated with the Rockefeller Institute. So they know what they're doing. So that might be why you don't hear about PEA much. Might be why they try to push the ultra-micronized, even though they get caught being dishonest. And nobody talks about it. So that amounts to roughly 4 to 6 500 milligrams doses daily for adults, much higher than many modern PEA supplement recommendations. What's the history? 1976, Palmidrol is introduced as a suspension for respiratory infection prevention. So they were allowing them to say that this prevented colds and flus. February 1998, it was included in a proposed publicized list of medicines to be removed from public reimbursement. So it was in the system for 22 years. Oh, Kelsey was talking about the methyl cellulose in the, babe, was that in the micronized? Let me see. Oh, yeah, there was also the I'll look at that, Kelsey. I see that you sent me that. July 1988, that's that paper. It excluded the therapeutic category that PEA was in from public financing. The exclusion took effect September 1st. At that point, the suspension was apparently still an active registered pharmaceutical product. The tablet presentation had already been deregistered. They were already starting to shut it down, even though it worked. So the best interpretation, prescription Palmidrol suspension was publicly reimbursable by socialism before September 1998, after which Spain's national health system stopped paying for it. Its removal was part of a broad cost containment decision affecting products for minor conditions in therapeutic categories considered unsuitable for continued routine public funding. No indication that it was removed because of a safety problem. Remember, this is all before micronized. It was marketed principally as an immunostimulant or resistance-enhancing respiratory medicine for preventing and treating influenza, recurrent colds, or other respiratory infections. Nickel toxicity. The Czech version of PEA was Impulsin. The Spanish Palmidrol was an extension of that therapeutic concept. So here we wrap it up. The firmest conclusion is Spain treated 500 milligram PEA tablets or suspensions as a prescription respiratory / immunostimulant drug, apparently from the mid-1970s through at least 1998, and publicly reimbursed it before removing it from the national health system financing. Weird that it worked, right? Because they don't want to, what do they not want to have to pay for? Well, you would kind of need to keep taking PEA to continue getting benefits. And they don't want, they're not in the health maintenance business. They're in the disease treatment business. So if they have a compound that literally prevents disease, that is antithetical or against everything they stand for. You understand? Oh, let me go find that paper. Let me look at this. Here, so we're on this one. This was another paper. So they gave carboxymethylcellulose to it caused aggressive colitis in humanized mice, whatever that means. They got some genetics that are human-ish, with inflammatory bowel disease, microbiota, then polysorbate 80. And they used PEA in this. Okay. Commonly used synthetic dietary emulsifiers, including carboxymethylcellulose and polysorbate 80, promote intestinal inflammation. So these are likely generally regarded as safe, as in they have GRAS status, and yet it is known that they promote intestinal inflammation. Remember how I say the purpose of a system is what it does? If our system of, quote, health and disease is making everybody sick, then the purpose of the system is to make everybody sick. And they literally tell you what they're doing. As we know, that's one of, quote, their requirements, is they have to tell us what they're doing to us. And then it is up to us to not allow it. And if we allow it, then we are endorsing that by omission, right? Let me find the... Kelsey, you sure this is the right paper? I'm not seeing PEA in it at all. I know that it's a similar paper, but but no, this is the one that shows that it caused the inflammation. Sorry, that's right. So this paper is just to show you that carboxymethylcellulose causes inflammation, known to cause intestinal inflammation, and it's an emulsifier. Folks, emulsifiers take your fatty lipid things and make them more water soluble. The dishwashing rinse aid that we went over literally causes leaky gut. Carboxymethylcellulose, as we just went over, literally causes leaky gut. This was the one, let me find it. Where's the one? Oh, let's do the carboxy. So what did they do here? This was just, Kelsey felt like this study was purposely trying to make certain PEA look bad. So we have the carrageenan plus saline. That's an intestinal irritant, and an irritant in general. They did it on their paw. Then they, of course, used the micronized stuff, dissolved in carboxymethylcellulose, a gut irritant. And then we have carrageenan plus micronized PEA, dissolved in carboxymethylcellulose. So we got multiple gut inflamers. And then we did carrageenan with the ultramicronized PEA and carboxymethylcellulose. P-Pure, I'll have to look up P-Pure, whether that's just normal PEA or not. And again, we did more. So they had all these groups. Right? Now let's go down to the conclusion. Or the discussion, I should say. I'll have to look up to see if that the one author who didn't disclose his competing interests is in here. No competing interests. Okay, so let's go back up to the discussion. Oh, Kelsey said, oh, my bad. I thought they only put carboxymethylcellulose in the P-Pure, PEA Pure. So they're saying that this is the one where they're saying micronized PEA and ultramicronized PEA worked, and yet the non-micronized ineffective in this model when given orally. Well, remember, there are three types of lies in this world. There is lies, damn lies, and statistics. And let's go up here and look and see if Would you look at this? Would you look at that name? Huh. The guy, yeah, this is the one. This is the one. Competing interests, and they just so happened to find that regular PEA didn't work, and only the micronized and ultra micronized did. Just so you know, the micronized and the ultra micronized are made by the same company. Because I was looking into getting PEA. I'm going to make a PEA supplement, and we're going to see if we can't do some cool things to it. We're still waiting for samples of things to come. But yeah, lies, damn lies, and statistics. So I don't trust it. Okay, so now let's get into the COOF. So I'm going to have to be very careful here, folks. So I'm going to only say the actual COOF word when I'm reading the research. Okay, so if you don't know what COOF is, that's COOF. That's my term for it. And if we talk about pokies, hopefully you know what that is. Okay, so again, right now we're going to bring out ultramicronized PEA as a theorized possible adjuvant treatment, right? Because adjuvant means in addition to. It's not like something they add to the pokies, as in aluminum or mercury. Adjuvant just means in addition here. So again, the Italians are really, they're really into this, right? Rome. Currently, unique drug therapy is not supported by international guidelines. Wonder why? In this context, it is important to resort to adjuvant therapies in combination with traditional pharmacological treatments, right? Because you got to keep the money flowing. The spice must flow to the pharma companies. Among natural bioactive compounds, PEA seems to have potentially beneficial effects. In fact, the FDA authorized an ongoing clinical trial with ultramicronized PEA because they need the patent to protect their income as an add-on therapy in the treatment of SARS-CoV-2 infection, which is the COOF. In support of this hypothesis, in vitro, so cell studies, and in vivo, whole animal, whole human, have highlighted the immunomodulatory, anti-inflammatory, neuroprotective, and pain-relieving effects of PEA, especially in its ultramicronized form. Okay, all of these things happened before they micronized it. And notice how they don't mention how it helped with colds and flus. They seem to keep avoiding mentioning that. So let's keep going. Again, they add stuff to it. Because if you ultramicronize it and then you add stuff to it, then you can have a special product that other people aren't selling. Co-ultramicronized. They're micronizing the PEA and luteolin, another antioxidant that I believe, I'm just trying to remember, I'm pretty sure hold on one sec. Yeah. I just wanted to double check before I said it. Let's see. Hold on one sec. No, I didn't want that. I want luteolin. Lutein is a bioflavonoid. I thought it was, I couldn't remember if it was a carotenoid or not. Luteolin is a bioflavonoid, or a flavonoid, which means it is an antioxidant, which means it tends to slow detox. So if you take something like PEA and you take a flavonoid at the same time, then you can start helping with the PEA. The PEA does what it does, and then the flavonoid can inhibit other detox, and you might see some improved effects. Don't do that. I'm not suggesting to use that at all. Anyway, but they ultra micronize them together. It normalizes GABAergic activity and cortical plasticity in long COVID-19 syndrome. Now, some of you out there are going to say the long COOF. Some of you are going to say it doesn't exist. Or some of you will say that it is only in the people who got the pokey. I'm going to say that I disagree. If you would like to go research something called post-influenza syndrome, let me look that up real quick. But yeah, post-influenza syndrome, as in people get the flu and they have problems after it, has been around for a very long time. I'm just going to show you this little AI summary here. Post-influenza syndrome encompasses a range of persistent symptoms, including fatigue, pain, neurocognitive difficulties, and sleep disturbances that can last for weeks to years after the acute infection resolves. This is not something new, right? Because the COOF was not anything new. The COOF was just repackaged flu, okay? And here's a concept for you who understand toxic bile paradigm. Okay, these acute quote-unquote infections are a massive dumping of toxic bile from your liver into into the bile, and then the bile comes out, and this bile is extra toxic. So you were already leaking bile into your system, and now you get this and you leak even more bile because the bile is extra toxic and it's eating more holes. This is why you feel so bad when you get sick. It's because you are dumping more bile. It is more toxic. The liver has all this toxicity stored. It's just dumping more of it at once, and it eats more holes, and you leak more into your blood, and you have all these symptoms. Now, what normally would happen is whatever triggered this dumping eventually goes away. And then what should happen, why do you start feeling better? Because you're dumping less toxic, you're dumping less bile, and the bile is less toxic that you are dumping, and your body fixes the holes because it can finally catch up, and then you feel back to normal. Now, let's say somebody was really sick in general. They're just really toxic, and they get this sickness, and they eat all these holes in their barriers. And when the sickness starts to go away, their body still doesn't have enough resources to fix the damage that happened. So then they stay more leaky for however long it takes them to fix it. And that's why these symptoms, which are different than the acute flu, stick around so long, is because they're just leaking more bile into the system. Think another analogy I've done on this is when you quote unquote get sick, think of it as like huge rains, like as in rains from the clouds. Huge rains came in, right? So these clouds come in, they're dumping all this rain. It is too much rain for the normal, what do you want to call them, drainage pathways, the sewers or whatever, to get rid of. They can't keep up. So the rain builds up into floods. The floods cause damage. Then eventually, just like the flu goes away, the rain stops. Now, so the rain stopped, so the floods stop, the dangerous part stops. The fact that people could actually, die from the flu. A flood can literally kill people, right? So the flood could kill people. The flu can kill people. Okay. if they make it through the heavy rain part and the waters subside, does that mean everything just goes back to normal? No, there's all the damage that has to be fixed. Now, flood damage, if you have enough, construction workers and materials and ability to pay the workers and, get them to do the work, then you fix the damage. However, if you don't have the resources to fix the damage doesn't go away, or it gets fixed very, very slowly. That is what you might term post-influenza syndrome or post-COOF syndrome. Now, I'm also going to give the idea that could it be from the pokey? Absolutely. Yeah, that's toxicity. So can the pokey be the cause of this for some people? Yes, absolutely. Yes. Can it be both? It's just like, folks, if you think that autism is only caused by pokies, you're wrong. It's a toxicity state in the brain. You can get to that toxicity state multiple ways. And there will literally be people out on the internet saying if you never got a pokey, you couldn't have that situation, that syndrome. That's absolutely wrong. Okay? It's all just toxicity. A pokey is just a very, very fast and intense way to get toxicity. Okay? So back to what we were talking about. So anyway, they saw improvements. I'm looking for that guy's name. If it was in here. Nope. Oh, sorry. There it is, Joe. We will just hit on this. So these are the abbreviations: long interval intracortical inhibition. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but they were using it to show that there was impaired activity in the brain. Okay. The aim of this study was to test the effects of co-ultramicronized PEA and luteolin, an endocannabinoid-like mediator. So again, folks, endocannabinoid-like. It's not an endocannabinoid, and it doesn't actually literally bind to the endocannabinoid receptors. This is not THC. This is not CBD. Avoid those things too. It's able to enhance GABAergic transmission and to reduce neuroinflammation on the long interval intracortical inhibition, right? Inhibition, yes. These are the other abbreviations they went over. Patients treated with PEA LUT, but not with placebo, showed a significant increase in these things they measured. Another thing they measured remained unaffected. 8 weeks of treatment restored GABA activity. We're seeing lots of people sleeping better with PEA, the non-micronized stuff, in the long COOF patients. So this study confirms altered physiology of the motor cortex in long COVID-19 syndrome and indicates PEA luteolin as a candidate for the treatment of this post-viral condition. So they start bringing it out again. But again, notice that they like to do the, they're really pushing the ultra-micronized stuff. What do we have in this one? What did I want out of this one? I don't remember. Oh, here, let's just go over this. This is their fancy explanation of what we call toxic bile paradigm. Because of the abnormal release of pro-inflammatory cytokines by non-nerve cells of the immune system. Oh, Joe, I'll zoom in. Okay. Such as the mast cells in the periphery and microglia at the central level, the body activates a defensive neuroinflammatory process that, if not controlled, can become pathological. That is the bile dumping, folks. How do you control your bile, your liver and your bile production and all that stuff? Oh, your nervous system controls it. Where does the inflammation come from? The toxic bile itself leaking into the system. And if you don't fix the leaky holes, it becomes pathological, as in it sticks around. And as we went over in the other PEA episode, PEA, the KG lipid cleanse, PEA literally affects the toxicity of the bile. It makes the bile less toxic. Okay. I like this. A possible intervention is represented by PEA, an endogenous molecule of the N-acylethynolamine. There's that word. Family synthesized, quote, on demand. Your body makes it more in response to, quote, stress factors, as in like toxic leaky bile. To restore tissue homeostasis, able to control mast cells. There's your histamine and your allergies. And microglia uncontrolled activation. Let's just hit on that real quick. Do you actually think that your body loses control of this, or are you of the type who believes that your body is poorly designed and your body screws things up and makes them worse? Or are you of the mind that our bodies are wonderfully designed, and if it's doing something, it's likely the body is doing the best it can in that situation? So if the body is super toxic, the body's trying to do what it can, it's just overwhelmed. And what the difference between the medicine that the approach to health that we do is that we assume the body will do the right thing if it is not too toxic and if it has the nutrients that it needs. Conventional medicine assumes that your body, as soon as it's broken forever, and there is no way to fix it except with medications. So this is a critical philosophical difference. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Was that it? There was this. Oh, was this the clinical trial? Oh yeah, this is the clinical trial paper. Yeah, that's what this is. This is about the clinical trial they're doing only on micronized and ultra micronized PEA. Because they can get a patent on it. Always follow the money. Regular PEA can't be patented, and it's cheap as dirt. It may be the cheapest supplement you take. Okay, so what else do we have here? Treatment of COVID-19 olfact. Oh, wait, let me share. Here we go, Joe. Sorry, I almost forgot. Treatment of COVID-19 olfactory dysfunction with olfactory training. So they're doing like smell training. This is when people lost their sense of smell during the coof, which is, just so you know, the main driver of the loss of sense of smell. We now know zinc deficiency is a huge part of it in terms of the nutrient deficiency. And then we have the 3 toxins that have been shown to damage the olfactory or the smelling nerves. I have research on all of these in animals. We have copper, we have cadmium, and we have nickel. Guess what zinc does to all 3 of those toxic metals? Zinc antagonizes all 3 of those toxic metals. So if a zinc deficiency is helping something that also can be caused by a copper toxicity, a cadmium toxicity, a nickel toxicity, that makes sense because they fight against each other, right? They antagonize each other. And you need zinc. So could we also, so imagine, how would copper and cadmium and nickel leak into your bloodstream to get to your nose nerves? Through leaky barriers like leaky gut, leaky brain, leaky blood-brain barrier. Okay, so then if PEA, let's say, literally goes in and helps fix leaky gut, do you see how you could leak less toxic bile into your bloodstream and less would get up to your nose nerves, and they would have the time and the space and the materials and the energy to fix themselves? So this is how both of these things can work on the same problem, if you will. Anyway, so it helped. We don't have to go into this in too much detail. Just wanted to check. So again, like, the Italians are really into this stuff because that's probably the patent holders are Italian. All patients completed the study. There were no adverse events. at 90 days. So 3 months. Again, PEA must be taken for time. Odor identification scores improved by more than 3 points in 89.2% of patients receiving combined therapy. That's the PEA and the luteolin, versus 36.8% receiving olfactory training with placebo. So they just got the smell training, however that works. A third of them still got better. 40% got better receiving twice daily PEA and luteolin alone, and 41.6% receiving once daily PEA luteolin alone. So we still got people better, but I'm going to use this as an example of one of the things I talk about. So they lost their sense of smell. Now, I've told you before about how when your body is toxic or deficient, and let's say your body, you can't do something. Like think of it as somebody gets in a car accident and they're paralyzed from the neck down. Okay, they sit in their hospital bed long enough to get better. But I mean, to get better where they live, right? But they're going to have to learn how to walk again. Just because, let's say, their spinal cord reconnects and they have nervous system function in their arms and their legs again, it doesn't mean they know how to use them. They have to be retaught. Okay, so if you've been, like, let's say somebody let's say toxicity drives somebody into terrible posture, because it does that. So you get terrible posture from the toxicity, or let's say your skull literally changes shape. If you watch the Ken Lever episode about the Reviv, and the episode I did right after that on toxicity causing skull shape changes. So let's say the toxicity caused these changes, and then you become less toxic. Does your skull shape automatically change back to what it should be? No, it doesn't automatically change. Just like the guy who's paralyzed doesn't necessarily just learn how to walk again. He's got to actually work on it. Okay, so like the Reviv Mouthguard and the Myo-nozzle for helping to retrain your tongue on how to swallow, those things are like, we have to fix it again. Okay, so what you see here is they got better effects with quote unquote exercise training plus the detox. Way better than just the training or the supplement. So this is just backing up what I've said before. So if you have a problem, a physical problem that has manifested over the years that you have been sick, and now you're doing the Love Your Liver program and the low nickel diet, and you're doing all this stuff to fix it, some of the function may come back on its own. Yes, just like we're seeing here, as about half the people who did either the olfactory training or the half who took the PEA alone did get better. But combining the two things, like one of the things to help your body remember what it's supposed to do, I like Original Strength. Go look up originalstrength.net, watch their YouTubes, understand their concepts. They're literally reintroducing kind of the brain software that was what the process that you did as a baby to learn how to breathe, to roll over, to crawl, to get up on your hands and knees, like when babies rock back and forth. And then there's crawling, and then there's cross crawling. If you have stuff, I think anybody who's been really sick for a long time should start with Original Strength to get that software reinstalled. It's amazing stuff. So anyway, and they said that patients receiving treatment with the PEA and luteolin, the micronized one, demonstrated subclinical improvement more often than patients receiving olfactory training with placebo. So again, the detox is the thing that doesn't just go away, right? If you train your nose how to smell better and it remembers, that's great. But if the toxicity is still too overwhelming, they're not going to get better. Okay, let's go back to the last one. Here we go. Chapter 37 of linking neuroscience and behavior in COVID-19. Chapter 37, long COVID-19 and the potential use of PEA. Again, more Italians. So, symptoms of COVID-19 infection last from weeks to months after the infection. This is called persistent post-COVID-19 syndrome, or they just call it long COVID. And it negatively impacts a patient's quality of life. Recently, several studies have been done on PEA, a naturally occurring lipid mediator that acts on the endocannabinoid system to alleviate a cytokine storm. Cytokine storm is a concept created that is basically to explain the massive bile dump. They think your body is just confused and screwing up. Then when you start to learn about sepsis and how sepsis kills people, and you learn that bile is being dumped massively during sepsis, then you start to understand what they're really trying to hide. The aim of this review is to evaluate the mechanism and potential efficacy of PEA in the treatment of long COVID-19 symptoms. We included the most recent study about the efficacy of PEA on long COVID-19 symptoms, such as olfactory and cognitive dysfunction, as well as on white matter disorders. Remember, we heard, I've got research now on Alzheimer's and PEA, Parkinson's and PEA, myasthenia gravis and PEA, and amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, and PEA. We just saw that one today in one of the papers. They mentioned the reference. If you would like to prevent your brain from degenerating, what's your brain made of? Fatty compounds, mainly. What is PEA? A fatty compound that helps to detox fatty toxins. Wow, really weird that it would help with neurodegenerative disorders that are rooted in toxicity. Recent findings allow us to conclude that PEA is a safe, manageable phytotherapeutic, plant therapy, molecule that could be used in a variety of ways for people with long COVID-19. So they're looking into it. But again, they don't want to just tell you, just buy the cheap stuff that's easy to get, right? It used to be prescription only. Now they're trying to say you got to buy the fancy one made by one company that has a patent on it, which should be sus, that may have polyvinyl pyridylene in it. I went over that patent last week. So yeah, if you want to save some money and avoid nasty things in your PEA, just buy the cheap stuff and take a little bit more. Kelsey, if you want to post the Pure Bulk link, or Joe, if you want to post that in the live chat, the Pure Bulk with the affiliate code. Oh, and I wanted to say, so we're all done with that doc, Joe. You can leave it on whatever. Let's do this one. Okay. I was joking with Kelsey this last week because multiple people said that I think Pure Bulk and maybe bulk supplements they ran out of PEA suddenly. Now, do I think anything's nefarious is going on? No, I think actually I was joking with Kelsey about it. I said, I believe this is the point where I have literally become a quote unquote influencer. I talk about PEA. We have 4,300 views on that first big PEA video. And then companies are literally selling out of the PEA they have on hand. So I would like to say, if there was ever a sign of quote, I'm not trying to be an influencer, but it kind of happened. And yeah, so if you're having trouble getting PEA right now, yes, it is my fault. And I'm proud of that. And we're like I said, we're working on our own product that we're just waiting on some stuff to arrive so we can test out the ingredients. And yeah, so let me go find that, Joe. Let me get back in the chat. Let's see. So that's all I have on this today. We'll probably stick around for another half hour to go through live chat Q&A. I'll try to make it go fast. I wanted to hit on one thing. Oh, Joe just put up the Pure Bulk affiliate link if you decide to give us a little spare change by using that link. So let me come through this. So Alexandra said that her PEA comes in the mail today. Tara Moose said, hello there. Hello. Oh, Lisa B said I really need the show, but I want to go find the post. Joe, can you find the one where she talked about the nebulizer? Can you find the one where Lisa B mentioned the nebulizer? And then Baptized in Fire started PEA a few days ago. Fingers crossed. Yes, absolutely. Well, let me see if I can find it. I'll go down to the bottom and I'll see if I can find it, Joe. Let me see. There it is. Okay. So Lisa B, who just mentioned she needed this show, she said, Kelsey, I just did the nebulizer with what you suggested. It helped already. The feeling of pain and tickling in my bronchial airway and lungs feel better. Thank you again. Thanks again. You rock. So Kelsey, I believe, went over this with her in her office hours session, which is, you know, an additional thing with our testing and consultation packages. And we are thinking about making a variation, a public Q&A where people can join, and Kelsey and I will both usually try to be there. Now that we're living together, we can be there together more often. So that makes things easier. Anyway, we'll look into that. I was thinking of doing something like that on Twitch before, but the more I researched Twitch, the sketchier it got, and I'm not really too into places that are posting that much. Not Twitch. No, it was it Twitch? I think it was. I'm not really too into places that are posting tons and tons of adult entertainers. So, yeah. But PEA, folks, PEA. So we know, remember I did that whole article on, or that whole show on PEA and how it's indicated for nickel allergy on that one big research paper. Nickel causes the throat irritation and the cough, and nickel drives GERD, which also causes throat irritation and cough. And if PEA is kind of anti-nickel toxicity, then it would make sense that, let's say Lisa B nebulized PEA and it soothed her throat, because that was probably related to nickel. So again, you guys, if you want to try it, you can mix PEA. There is a lot of research on PEA topical. If you wanted to make a PEA topical, one of the places you might start would be to get our magnesium lotion and put a sprinkle of the PEA in it. Oh, sorry, Joe. Joe said I cut out for like 10 seconds. Anyway, what I was saying was that there's quite a bit of research on topical PEA. So applying PEA to the skin and having it absorbed there, or just using it for skin conditions. And again, nickel causes lots of skin conditions, and PEA can be used topically for skin conditions. But what I was saying was, if you want to try it, in the research, the concentration of PEA in a lotion is only about 1 to 3%, so it's not much. But you could just sprinkle some PEA into our magnesium lotion and apply that topically. Make sure you kind of rub the PEA into the lotion, so it's not just little chunks in there. It'll go into the lotion solution. It'll dissolve. Just rub it, okay? And then rub it into your skin. Don't just put the powder in and then put it on and then wonder why you've got PEA chunks sitting there. Rub it into the lotion first. So like put the lotion in your palm, sprinkle some PEA into it, rub it to mix it. You're trying to mix it in your palm and then apply it, okay? But yeah, Kelsey had somebody test out nebulizing it into their lungs. I don't know her directions. I wasn't there for it, but yes, we're getting good results there too. So if something helps this many parts of the body, whether it's topical or oral or inhaled, it's something you need. And so it can help with getting more of it. Okay, so there's that. Let me look through the chats again. Emma says, my kidneys were messed up by NDF years ago. Now I'm taking modified citrus pectin and only 1 capsule a day. My kidneys are now aching. Do you have any suggestions? Well, if you went on a low nickel diet, that is going to stress your kidneys. Your kidneys are one major way that nickel leaves. So if you don't feel good on Pectisol or MCP, if you're taking I don't know if you're taking Pectisol or some other random modified citrus pectin. So I can't speak to what you're taking, but if you're having issues with Pectisol or a legit low molecular weight modified citrus pectin, if it doesn't say low molecular weight, it's not what you want. It's going to stay in your gut. So if you just buy cheap modified citrus pectin, that doesn't penetrate into the bloodstream. So anyway, my general statement is that if you feel bad on Pectisol or other low molecular weight modified citrus pectins at the start, it means you are quite toxic. What do we do there? Well, the other thing that you want to do is, that's why I recommend the PectaClear the most, is because the alginate that is in the PectaClear helps grab the nickel that is in your gut, which then helps it to not be reabsorbed into the bloodstream, where then it would have to go either to the liver or the kidneys again. So there's a reason why I like the PectaClear, or that people use sodium alginate powder or potassium alginate powder or a mixture of the two, which is what I do, to grab the nickel in the gut. So you're not overloading the kidneys. This would get better. However, we would like to, cause as little discomfort as possible. So, I mean, the big things here would be whatever dose of Pectisol you tolerate would be what you would do. So if 1 capsule a day is causing you problems, you may not be able to take it at all yet. Or you could take less. Or you could take it a day and then skip a day and then take it again. You're trying to figure out what's the lowest dose, what's the dose you can take without any symptoms. If the Pectisol just doesn't work for you, I would work on the alginates. If you can do PectaClear, the PectaClear is what I saw really relieve symptoms, because it's got the alginate in it that synergizes with the Pectisol. So, but yeah, if you've had kidney issues before, or if you just stored a lot of nickel in your kidneys and it's coming out of your kidneys, then you may notice kidney symptoms. So that's kind of, and it could just be the low nickel diet causing the kidneys to have issues. At the least, I would start working on the PEA to help as well. But that's what I got. If you can't do the PectaClear, like I said, do the Pectisol and buy some powdered alginates and take as much of the alginates as you need to equal what would have been in the PectaClear you might have taken, but maybe you didn't take the PectaClear because it was expensive. That's fine. Let's see. Okay, Human Health says, I'm a week into PEA, and the tattoo I had one removal session on about 8 years ago randomly swells up in a perfect line along the ink and itches like crazy. Feels very similar to how it felt then. Yeah, this sounds like retracing. Sounds like the PEA is cleaning something out. Yeah. Alexandra says, my husband has lots of tattoos. He's close to an LYL diet, but isn't following like I am. Would PEA help his toxicity from tattoos? I think PEA is probably good in general. Is it going to help the toxicity from the tattoos? I don't know. It would help. I mean, you just saw the gentleman who said that the PEA is stimulating something happening in his tattoo. And then you saw Beth, if you saw a couple of episodes ago where Beth was talking about she started on PEA and then she had some eczema show up on her forearm, on the arm where she had chemotherapy. And then once she got the low nickel diet caused the eczema to come up. And then she got on the PEA, and within like half a day, the redness on those spots went away. It went to like, a normal darker color of something healing. And then now it's gone. So is PEA generally a good thing? Yes. Can anybody do PEA? Yes. So for those of you who have loved ones who aren't going to do any of the diet stuff, but you'd like to help them and they're willing to take pills, then the PEA would be a good thing. In my mother, who has Parkinson's-like syndrome, my brother is now giving her 1 capsule of PEA and some flush niacin in her drink with each of her meals. So either 2 or 3 times a day, she's having PEA and flush niacin. And we have observed that she has specific moments of walking better. She has specific moments of talking a lot better. My buddy who does her personal training has noticed that she's been having some really good workout days. So it's not all the time yet, but we are seeing specific improvements in her. Oh, and her voice has been stronger at times. My brother told me the other day, he said her voice sounded absolutely fine. When at times I have to literally ask my mom, like, you need to make sounds with your mouth, because she'll talk and there's just no sound coming out. But then my brother tells me the other day, he said she just sounded like she was talking normally. So this is doing stuff. My mom's doing a sort of low nickel diet, but we're seeing improvements. So anyway, but is it going to make tattoo toxicity go away? No. So Jackie asks, but wait, colds and flus are detox symptoms. Why would you prevent this? I kind of explained that. We stop getting colds and flus as we become less toxic. We are not preventing the detox. Okay? Like if somebody was taking Pectaclear and it's binding up all the nickel and helping to get rid of it, and then they stop getting colds and flus because they're not toxic anymore, is that a bad thing? No. I believe, and Kelsey believes, that PEA is literally helping to detox the fat tissues, which we didn't have. We had the flush niacin before, but the PEA seems to be, as I went over in the KG lipid cleanse episode, they seem to be, what's the term? Complementary and synergistic, in that they're approaching these two compounds, the flush niacin and the PEA, come at the body fat and the lipid toxicity storage from different angles. So yeah. Just passerby said, is it true that after casein is converted into acid caseinate in the digestive tract, the body cannot absorb the protein it contains? I have no idea. I mean, bodybuilders literally take casein powder as something to help them get bigger. So I don't know who said that. I'm not advising casein protein, but like basically Greek yogurt is basically a chunk of casein, and so is cottage cheese, and tons of bodybuilder types and fitness types eat tons of that and gain muscle from it. So it must be doing something. but I'm not saying to eat it. Okay, Human Health talking about that tattoo. He said this hasn't happened until shortly after the PEA, so it may have something to do with it. Hasn't seemed to affect the couple others I have, only the one I had laser treatment on. Interesting. This is why I asked Dagmar about the Czech names. Dagmar said, I'm having an ethnocentric moment, LOL, because I was born in Czechoslovakia. Yes. Yeah, Val Zim said colds and flus are detox symptoms that occur when the body's normal detox pathways are blocked or they're just not moving fast enough. Yes. Same as measles and other skin diseases. We don't want to have to resort to these backup detox systems. Yeah. We would love for it all to just come out in our poop and our pee and our sweat. But if it comes out in your sweat, it will often irritate the skin on the way out, and that's often skin conditions is when it's coming out through the skin. So let's see. Am I all the way to the bottom? No. Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. Beth added, I had a strong ammonia smell in my nose last night. She put hashtag nickel dumping and can attest to the fact that PEA does not stop detox. Yeah, I may go over this in a future episode, but nickel multiple ways slows down or can cause ammonia to accumulate more. So if somebody was dumping more nickel into their system, they could smell more ammonia. You could smell it in your pee. My buddy smelled it in his sweat. He would say when he was, waking up at night all hot during the nickel detox, that his sweat literally smelled of ammonia. Ammonia is not good. But the key thing here would not just be to fight against the ammonia that your body's making. The key thing long-term would be to remove the thing that's getting in the way of creating ammonia, which nickel, as I'm going to go over in a future episode, causes slowing of ammonia detox as well as vitamin A detox. So, and there was something, I don't know if for those of you who are here still in the comments, in the live chat, there seemed to be, so it is July 21st. So the night of July 20th, if you felt like there was something strong like space weather or some sort of electromagnetic stuff going on last night, please comment in the live chat. Like Beth just said, she had the strong ammonia smell in her nose last night. So if you had other strange symptoms specifically last night, the night of July 20th, feel free to post it in the comments later if you're not here for the live, but if you're here in the live chat and you're willing to share, post in the live chat, because I think something big happened last night. For those of you who are into any kind of astrology, which I don't follow much, but it's called Barbeau's Basket. Starts today. So it's BARBAULT''S, Barbeau's Basket. And it's a certain arrangement, supposedly, of the quote unquote stars. I'm just looking at it going, this might be something interesting that might affect people. So don't think I became an astrology follower, but I'm willing to look at things to say, as they say, millionaires don't follow astrology, but billionaires do. So there may be something to it. It doesn't mean, I follow it, but if those folks are paying attention to it, then I'm going to say there might be something to pay attention to. Matthew Jones said, good morning. Good morning, Matthew. Where's the, okay. So this is what Kelsey was saying about the tattoo. She said, I went over this earlier. Hypertrophied scarring has been studied and found to have way less PEA. And then she added, so maybe adding it can break down some hypertrophied tissue. And she said, like the zapped tattoos. Lisa, who nebulized the PEA, she said, "Thank you, Kelsey. I'm still feeling yucky, but I slept a bit better last night. I've been taking the niacin and 1,200 milligrams of PEA, swishing in the mouth, then gargling it and swallow, and then the nebulizing still helped." So yeah. Archon added, Dr. Eric Berg had a bunch of videos mentioning the benefits of berberine. I can't tell you how many relatively smart people push this berberine garbage. They say it's like, ooh, it's a plant GLP-1 and it's going to fix diabetes and it's going to do all this stuff. One gentleman I knew who thought he was about one of the smartest people around was into the berberine supplement industry. He may have even made his own product. And this gentleman had ulcerative colitis that was very active, and he had to go in. He chose to go in and get IVs of whatever imab they used to shut it down. And I tried to tell him about berberine being toxic, and he just wasn't even entertaining it. So he's just going to keep taking his berberine. And as I say, if you like your disease, you can keep your disease. If you want to bet the farm on berberine being good for you, and it's actually going to poison you long term, well, I guess people can do whatever they want. But yeah, berberine, if you go in, I've been over berberine and the liver toxicity that it causes in the research here before. So, but yeah, Dr. Berg, I haven't looked to see if Dr. Berg is looking red or pink in the face these days, but somebody told me that Dr. Axe is looking red or pink in the face these days, and he's trying to use makeup to kind of cover it up at certain times. We know Saladino's red, Cruz is red, Dr. Jack Cruz is red, the Liver King is red, Cultivate and Elevate's Matt is red. I see these people pushing farming stuff on shorts and reels, whether it's YouTube shorts or Instagram reels. I don't go on Instagram much, but all these influencers, especially those pushing so-called healthy diets, are red or pink. It's not healthy. So they're doing something very wrong, even though they are positive they're doing the right stuff. So anyway. Smiley asks, how do you personally measure out the PEA powder? Do you always take it mixed into oil? No, I don't. Kelsey and I don't do that at all. Okay, so on the bulk supplements package of powder, it says that a 1/4 teaspoon is 400 milligrams. I know the bulk supplements capsules are 600 milligrams each. We simply take the powder, measure out about what you're going to do. You know, if you have a 1/4 teaspoon measurement, like I recently threw out all my old stainless steel measuring spoons, and I'm literally going to use plastic now. I am sure, think about this, folks. If the purpose of a system is what it does and they want to make you sick, I'm not, okay, again, I'm not saying that plastic is good for you. However, have you noticed the whole mainstream, conventional and mainstream alternative demonizing of plastics and microplastics? Now, I want you to think that there may be an ulterior motive there. So we have people drinking out of plastic bottles, plastic cups, eating off plastic. Like, okay, so here's what I'm saying is, if people are taking in as much plastic as they are, which is a lot. If plastic was as bad as, I don't know, say nickel or cadmium or lead, shouldn't all these people be suffering really bad and pretty much be dead? Okay? So now, what does that leave us for the health conscious? We want to say the health nerds. So if plastic is out, then you're left with glass or wood or stainless steel for the most part. Well, glass doesn't work for everything, and we have a lot of people who are kind of clumsy and they're going to drop it and it's going to break. And so nobody likes to have stuff around that if they drop, it's going to break. So could be, just consider this for a moment, that the demonization of plastics is to drive people to use more stainless steel. Just consider that. Like, again, I'm not saying that plastics are good for you, but you do have to have something to put stuff in. And like, of course, don't put hot stuff in plastic. Like, avoiding plastic or minimizing it is still a very, very good idea. However, it might be intended to drive you more towards stainless steel. So I literally threw out my stainless steel measuring spoons and I went back to plastic because I'm measuring out powders with these. I'm not cooking with them or doing anything like that. So I'm measuring out powders. I'm not worried about microplastics going from a dry spoon to a dry powder. That's not how it works. So, oh, sorry, Joe wanted me to say that. So stainless steel has nickel in it. And I was even seeing over time a little bit of, what do you want to call it, where the stainless steel was oxidizing a little bit from the things that I'd scooped on it. And I should have thrown them away a lot earlier. But once I learned about the nickel and the stainless steel, I tossed them out. And I'd had those things since probably college. And can you find nickel-free stainless steel? Yes. 18/0 is the normal nickel-free stainless steel. Or you can get the Home Chef cooking stuff, which is 21/0. The 0 means 0 nickel. Okay. Okay, this was another thing. Lisa B added, the pectin lollipops soothes my throat. I could not find an LLM as a chat, like an AI chat GPT kind of thing on PEA nebulizer. So I just use plain saline solution and gargling with warm salt water. Okay. Pectin lollipops, folks, if you don't know, mini cough drops, their active ingredient is pectin. And it soothes the throat. So why would a soluble fiber that you suck on a cough drop slowly and it releases the pectin slowly, that is then sitting on your throat and you're swallowing it down your throat, why would that help a sore throat? Why would soluble fiber help a sore throat? What is the soluble fiber doing? What if it's grabbing onto nickel and taking it away from your throat? And then you're getting relief. So if you have throat issues or if you're having the nickel cough, you can find pectin cough drops, you can find pectin lollipops. Some people are even looking into making PEA into cough drops or lollipops. If I were to do it, I'd be putting multiple things in there. Okay, so again, the detox. So Conscious B3 said, my pee has been smelling like no other since starting nicotinic acid and PEA. Definitely experiencing a reduction in appetite also. So yeah, PEA definitely affects your satiety in terms of it. Okay, so if you're an undertype, if you're underweight, the PEA is not going to make you eat too little, okay? Nickel toxicity will definitely kill your appetite in a bad way, which could be the driver of undertypes and their underweightness, because in animal studies, nickel toxicity makes animals go underweight. In humans, the more prominent pattern is that nickel toxicity makes humans tend to go overweight. But we have research on nickel toxicity in humans making people get fat. And in the animal research, it shows that too much nickel will tend to make the animals undereat and get skinny. So we have that evidence in animals for the undertype phenotype or expression in humans. It's just two sides of the same coin. Not everybody goes the same direction. But yeah, so so Conscious B3 is talking about, signs of detox. Pee smelling like you're literally detoxing through your pee. Yes. Oh, here's another one. Karen Etchell says, I've been giving my little dog small, consistent doses of PEA for his severe eczema, and his buildup of brown scabs have almost disappeared. He still has some itching, but he is doing much better. This is not suppressing anything, folks. Remember, if it was a drug that suppressed things and caused side effects, pharma would love it. It doesn't suppress things, and it doesn't have side effects. It literally makes people and animals healthier. That's why they don't want to do anything with it. Okay. Guadalupe St. Joseph says, is there any danger to take the PEA with no Pectisol, no Pecticlear, no charcoal, no zeolite, only apples as your fiber? There's no danger to PEA at all. I've even so I put the powder in my mouth and I kind of talked a little bit and I poofed it up a little bit and I probably breathed some down my throat and it didn't even aggravate my throat. So I'm not saying to breathe the PEA down the wrong hole, the wrong tube, but it doesn't seem to be pro-inflammatory at all. No, you can do the PEA without the other binders. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so Guadalupe St. Joseph says, so I don't need any extra binders. I worry I'm not getting the nickel out. Okay, without binders, this is why the low nickel diet. Okay. If somebody does a low nickel diet by itself, or let's say apples are their only soluble fiber. Okay. The very fact that people are getting symptoms from going low nickel, where you're getting your symptoms is where the nickel is coming out of those tissues. Now, remember, coming out of the tissues doesn't mean detox, because when we say detox, we mean it's actually like leaving the body, like the person Conscious B3 talking about it, they're pee smelling. Okay, so we don't really consider it detox until it has left the body. So if you're detoxing, if you're pulling nickel out of certain tissues, whether it's your kidneys, whether it's your brain, you're getting emotional, mental symptoms. If you're getting muscle aches and fatigue, it's probably coming out of your muscles. So it's coming out into the system. That's the first step that has to happen for it to leave your body. So, but that doesn't mean it's left. So it's coming out of your tissues into your system. As it comes out, where it's coming out from, that's where it now becomes like a free nickel ion. And then it causes the symptoms in that area because that's the first area it's exposed to. And it's also where the highest concentration of exposure would be. Right? So then so if you're having symptoms from the low nickel detox, that's because nickel is coming out of the tissues. What the Pectisol does, and the alginate does, and the other binders, zeolite, charcoal, where those binders can go, Pectisol is the only one that can get into the bloodstream. So Pectisol could help go into the bloodstream and both bind nickel. So it causes, there's our store if you're interested in getting it from us. Pectisol can go into the bloodstream and hopefully grab onto some of the nickel and other toxic metals and then help take that to your kidneys for excretion or to your liver and bile so that you can poop it out. So there's that. Now, one of the things that Pecticlear and the alginate in the Pecticlear really seemed to help with was the Pectisol was helping. The Pectisol is helping by itself, and it was helping people. However, the whole reason that EcoNugenics, the company that makes Pectisol, developed Pecticlear was so that the alginate part of the Pecticlear could be in the gut and really grab on well to the toxic metals that were in the bile so that they don't get reabsorbed into your bloodstream, and then you have to process them again. So they can come back into your system and cause damage. So what we want to do is the low nickel diet gets your body to dump the nickel from those tissues. Now, will some of the nickel make its way out? Yeah, it could come out through your pee. It could come out through your poop. Could come out through your sweat. Could come out any of your body fluids. The Pectisol and the Pecticlear may help you get rid of what is coming out faster. And as we have seen, it will likely help you have less symptoms along the way, because you don't have the free nickel floating around. It's bound to something, and you're also not reabsorbing it after your body puts it in the bile and you're trying to poop it out. But then we reabsorb all sorts of things from our poop, including toxins. So that's the whole idea of the alginate in the Pecticlear. Okay, so do you have to take binders at all? Do you have to take PEA? Do you have to take anything for the low nickel diet to work? No. However, if you're suffering during the low nickel diet, we believe that there are multiple things you can do to reduce that suffering and potentially shorten the duration of the detox. I believe next week, I'm going to review all the supplements that we make and how they can be used for your general health, but also for the low nickel diet or the nickel detox. So next week, I'm going to go over all the stuff that we talk about and how it can be incorporated and used. So tune in for that one. Let's see. Yeah, as Kelsey just added, Kelsey did a very short version of what I just said. She will just said, you will have it rougher, possibly, Guadalupe. And she said, but it's up to you. These are just tools. Yes, they are. So Johnny added, PEA is poorly water soluble. Yes. So it makes sense from a physics standpoint that ultramicronized would work better. I don't know. So this is another thing about making things really small or making them liposomal or other stuff. If we're supposed to absorb PEA, it will get in. That's all there is to it. If you want, again, I don't recommend the ultramicronized. As you can see, I went over dishonesty in the research arena. And patents are a very pharmaceutical thing to try to protect it so they can get all their money out of it. My supplement manufacturer actually told me when they were looking into the ultramicronized, and I asked them some questions about it before Kelsey and I had decided that we were going to not use it. But they were saying that they were going to have to do something very specific with their machines to make the capsules because the ultramicronized was sticky. And I was like, okay, regular PEA is not sticky. When do fats get sticky? When they oxidize. The micronization process is literally smashing PEA molecules into each other to break them into smaller pieces. And when things break into smaller pieces, like the PEA being micronized, it's an exothermic reaction. It literally creates heat. How do fat-soluble things, lipids, oxidize? Oh, heat. So, and the ultramicronized is sticky. So either there's something added to the ultramicronized or it's even more oxidized. Right? You ever had, flax oil that's left out and it oxidizes and it's that super sticky, gross oil. Yeah, and it smells bad and it tastes bad. I don't want sticky ultramicronized PEA. The stickiness should freak you out. Oh yeah, here, Kelsey's saying the same thing that I said. I didn't know she had this too. She said, I've accidentally inhaled the PEA several times while it's under my tongue trying to talk. The amazing thing is that it doesn't make you cough, LOL. This is absolutely true. That's what I said earlier. I didn't know Kelsey had the same thing. But I can tell you that flush niacin, don't inhale flush niacin. That will irritate your throat. So don't dry scoop the flush niacin. my mom with her swallowing problem has accidentally, the way her tongue's working with the Parkinson's, she accidentally kind of opened up some of the flush niacin capsules, and she has problems with swallowing and coughing, and so she kind of sucked some of it down into her airway, and it actually caused an irritation that lasted about 3 to 7 days. And she had kind of it was a nasty sounding cough, but it wasn't pneumonia. It was just an irritation of her throat. So just be aware, put the niacin in something to drink or take capsules. Don't breathe flush niacin unless maybe you're nebulizing it, but I don't even know if that would be a good idea. Kelsey would know about that. Yeah, Kelsey was just adding, it feels fine to inhale. Yeah, so the nebulizing makes sense. Okay. Guadalupe St. Joseph asks, is it not good to take lower dose nicotinic acid on an empty stomach first thing in the morning? Okay. In a lot of the how to use flush niacin instructions, I mean, this is the main place for the how to use flush niacin instructions is inside the Love Your Liver program. And we still stand by, Kelsey and I still stand by everything we say in there, except we're kind of changing our stance on, we used to tell people definitely take your flush niacin with food. We're not really that worried about it anymore. Now, the thing about taking flush niacin on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, if you take flush niacin on an empty stomach, you're going to flush harder. If you don't want to flush harder, then take it with food. As Guadalupe added on the next message she posts, or I'm assuming it's she, I flush every time when I take it on an empty stomach, but if I take it after food, I never flush. So this is exactly what we say. If you want to flush less, take it with food. If you want to flush more, take it on an empty stomach. If the flush happens or not, does that really matter? No. You do need to be taking flush niacin, though, for it to help, for it to matter. And if you take it with sugar, like if you took the niacin with some juice or maybe even an apple, you're going to flush more because the sugar, for whatever reason, causes more flushing. But that's basically it. Yeah, we're not. If you take your PEA with the niacin, what do I do if I'm taking? So there's times where I just during the day, taking supplements 3 times a day. I take I take nearly all my supplements in the morning once I've eaten, which for right now, the main pill supplements I'm taking, other than my detox sludge, which everybody wants to know about, I'm doing my Keystone Minerals. I'm doing my PEA. I'm doing my lactoferrin, and I'm doing, what's the other one? Lactoferrin, Keystone, PEA. Oh, and flush niacin. I'm doing the Niasoda, which is only available in the Love Your Liver VIP store. But if you're taking flush niacin other ways, you can do our other pills, the 25 milligrams, the 500 milligram flush niacin pills, or you can do the powder. Anyway, so those are my pills that I take during the day. So the morning I do all the Keystone and the lactoferrin, plus a dose of PEA and the flush niacin. So then I take PEA and flush niacin 2 more times during the day. Do I worry about whether those are with food or not? I don't. I don't even think twice about it. I'm just like, if I remember to take it, I take it. And I don't worry about the with food or not. I think the PEA, if you do the mouth method where you put the powder or you open the capsule into your mouth and you taste it first and you're sending your body the signal that it's coming, I think that's good enough for the flush niacin to not have to be with food. So you don't have to, but if you'd like to flush less, take it with food. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, Human Health said, I also like my niacin first thing in the morning, more flush. Sadly, I can't even get close to that kind of rush anymore. Yeah. The flush, I mean, folks, you remember your mindset about the flush is a big part of how you feel about it. Now, if you don't like any discomfort and you truly believe that the flush is discomfort, you're going to suffer more. Like how you perceive it is how your body kind of believes it. So I don't really love the flush, but I also, if you change your mindset into this is like a feeling of detoxification processes happening because the NAD from the flush niacin is literally running detox pathways, giving them the energy to run, then you may start to feel differently about it. And just remember, if you stay at really low doses because you think that's going to make the flush less, you're going to kind of stay flushing forever until you choose to get up to higher doses or doing it more often during the day. The first flush of the day will be generally the biggest one, and then each time you take it after that will be less and less flush. That's how you move up if you choose to. Okay, let me hit on this one. Guadalupe St. Joseph says, thank you. I read that niacin on an empty stomach can hurt your stomach, and I was like, no, I really don't want to get myself into any more problems. Ha ha. This is where the Niasoda would come in. The Niasoda is buffered flush niacin, and it is specifically indicated for people who get little stomach issues with the niacin, being that it is nicotinic acid. Okay, so if you have stomach issues, if you don't have stomach issues with flush niacin, you don't have to buffer it. If you do have stomach issues of any type with flush niacin, then buffer it. And we go over the buffering the powder instructions and buffering the capsule instructions inside the Love Your Liver program. And then the Niasoda capsules, which, like I said, are only available in the VIP store to Love Your Liver members, are pre-buffered. They have the buffer in them in the right amount already. Sodium bicarb, potassium bicarb, with an equal amount of sodium and potassium in there as electrolytes, if you will, plus the flush niacin. So those are your options. Okay, Human Health says, well, I don't know if it's good, but I'm still improving, and I've done it for nearly 2 years straight. I'm assuming you're talking about the flush niacin, but it's always buffered and always with charcoal and a lot of water. That's a great way to take it. Yeah. One of the, I want to do a short, or maybe I'll do it on a episode, but we may do a little thing. Again, I'm not a Scientologist, nor do I emphasize or support that religious approach. However, we may do a little thing where we find Scientologist actors who had co-stars in various movies. Kelsey says this has been done elsewhere on the internet before, and compare how the Scientologists have aged to their co-stars. Why would we do this? Because Scientologists love flush niacin. And if it's actually literally helping people to anti-age or to minimize aging, this will be evident with enough cases. So if you were to think of Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis, that would be one relatively obvious comparison, but we'll go find more. But again, Scientology liking flush niacin is like a broken clock being right twice a day. They nailed the flush niacin. They nailed the sauna plus the flush niacin. Other than that, I don't think they do too many things right myself. So, okay, Guadalupe says taking low dose, no buffer. That's, yeah, if you're low dose is fine. If you want to buffer it, that's fine. But if you're doing a low dose, it shouldn't affect your stomach negatively. 50 milligrams is fine. Okay. Yeah, again, remember, we don't avoid the flush, but we don't chase the flush. We just take flush niacin. And if you get the flush, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And if you want to buffer it, that's fine. Buffering does not make it flush less. Okay, Rewilder's Guide. What is the recommended max dosage of apple pectin while on this pecticlear phase? Seems like I need more than I'm taking 3 times a day, but not sure how much to go up. Well, when I was taking apple pectin, I was probably doing 2-3 times a day. I don't know if there's a maximum other than you want to be pooping well. So you'd have to see if you go up in apple pectin, are you pooping better? Are you pooping worse? Is it helping your gut feel like calmer, or is it giving you gas? Because apple pectin can definitely, depending upon your gut biome, apple pectin will give a lot more gas than sun fiber, as an example, because apple pectin can get metabolized by the bacteria further higher up in the gut, closer in the small intestine to the stomach, versus sun fiber is considered a slow fermenting fiber, and it ferments lower down in the gut, and it will tend to give you less gas. So if you're getting gas or bloating from apple pectin, I would suggest using the sun fiber. I really think using the sun fiber as part of this process to help with the gut microbiome, rearranging and having the sun fiber there to just basically give your gut bacteria food is a great idea. The apple pectin works. I used the apple pectin for a good while at the start, and then I just started noticing that I was feeling a little bloaty, a little farty with it. So I just dropped it and I went back to the sun fiber, and all that went away. So apple pectin's fine to use. Like, that's what's in the cough drops and the lollipops. It does grab on a nickel, but really what the max of it is mainly determined by how you tolerate it. Does more help you feel better? Does it help you feel like you're pooping better, digesting better, or does more make you feel bloated and gassy or burpy and that stuff? So, like, my buddy does really well with apple pectin. I actually gave him the rest of mine because I wasn't going to use it anymore, and I just didn't. I was like, okay, I'm done with this. You just follow your own symptoms. Okay. Which is more important for detox, calories or protein? That's kind of one of those questions that doesn't really help. Do you need to eat enough or else you starve? Yes. Do you need protein to run detox? Yes. What's probably the most important amino acid or type of protein to get for detox? Glutamate, which you can get from glutamic acid or MSG, or you can obviously get it in protein foods. But if you want to help, the MSG just makes all the protein you eat work better. So you can get away with less food protein if you're using MSG than if you're not. But I don't know. I like putting a value statement on that. It doesn't help. It's just, this would be a question, no offense, just a passersby, but this would be like a mental masturbation question where it's just something that people do to run their brain and feel like they're thinking real hard about stuff. And then does the answer matter? If they're right or if they're wrong, does it really change a lot of stuff? I mean, do we need enough calories? Yeah. Do we need enough protein? Yeah. That's why fasting for too long, fasting more than 3 days, you've basically used up a lot of your stores of the amino acids you need to run your liver's detox. So that's why long-term fasting doesn't necessarily detox you. It's just a way of putting in a lot less toxicity. Will you still detox? Yeah, you're still going to pee and poop a bit fasting, but it's not going to be like, it'd be like saying, if I never put gas in my car, is it going to run better? No, your car's going to sit there and it's not going to be used because you can't drive it. Kind of like how people get really tired during fasting. They're not doing much. It doesn't mean their body's necessarily fixing stuff. A lot of people, they get done with fasting and they go back to eating the same diet that they used to eat, and then all their stuff just comes right back. Same thing with carnivore. So if somebody fasts for a month and they get off the fast and they come back to eating the foods that they were on before, and their issue comes back over the next couple months, did they fix a problem or not? I think we can figure that out. So I'm not totally against fasting. I just don't think if fasting worked as well as all the claims that were in the kind of mainstream alternative, if it worked as well as they say it did, people would know about it and they would do it more. It's kind of like the psyop of drinking your piss. That only works for people in countries where they eat very little protein, like India. What do you need proteins for? To make antibodies and binding proteins to protect you from toxins. What do Indians eat a lot of? Yellow and orangish food-based toxins and vitamin A. And they don't get enough protein. Where does our body pee out these proteins that are used to protect you against toxins? Well, through the pee. So if you're peeing out proteins and you can recycle them to use them again because you're not going to get to eat much protein, then it could help. I'm not saying to do it. I'm saying that is the only viable theory I've heard about why urine therapy might work in some places, but why urine therapy in the US hasn't taken off, because we eat plenty of protein. We also don't think that cows are holy. So we eat red meat and we get our zinc. Oh, what do you need zinc for? To make retinol binding protein, which helps bind to vitamin A and protect you from it. So if people don't eat meat, especially if they don't eat red meat, they're not going to get enough protein. They're not going to get enough zinc. They're not going to get enough taurine, because you do need a certain amount of taurine to protect themselves from the toxins that they emphasize in their diet. Okay. Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, Kelsey was reminding me the lithocholic acid hurts your own PEA production. Yeah, lithocholic acid is one of the most toxic bile acids. And we went over research that toxic bile acid inhibits your own production of PEA. Just a Passerby says, so nickel can be more dangerous than vitamin A. Just a Passerby, you want to go watch my episode on how nickel literally inhibits the detoxification of vitamin A. I went over that mechanism in the research. So is vitamin A, okay, I want to say this correctly. Nickel toxicity causes its own problems by its very nature. Then nickel inhibits the detox of vitamin A, specifically the detox of retinol. So you're going to store more retinol in your liver, and it inhibits the cytochrome P450 that makes retinoic acid into less toxic forms of retinoic acid. So it's basically increasing your storage of vitamin A in the liver, which then reaches toxic levels, and it's also decreasing the detoxification of retinoic acid, the most toxic form. Okay. So what we've done in the past with the main focus of the Love Your Liver program was on taking in less vitamin A and working on copper toxicity. Those were the big toxicity. I mean, we work on the toxic metals and all that stuff, of course, but the two things we worked on that most other people don't was vitamin A and copper. And a lot of people got better by avoiding vitamin A or minimizing it, and by working on their copper toxicity. Now, the nickel was making the vitamin A toxicity worse. So not only does nickel cause its own problems, but it makes the vitamin A toxicity happen more and faster. So if people get rid of, think about this, if people work on the nickel toxicity and that goes away, well, the nickel is not there, so they're going to have less toxicity issues from nickel itself. Then the nickel is not around to inhibit the detoxification of vitamin A, so then the body can get rid of its old stored vitamin A faster, And it also, they likely will, how do I say this, tolerate vitamin A better because they're just not inhibiting the detoxification of it. So by working on the nickel toxicity, you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. And then also, if you generally don't take in too much vitamin A, then your body can get rid of the old stores even faster now that the nickel toxicity is less of a problem. So again, do I want to say that one is more important than the other? I mean, I think that the nickel is more important than the vitamin A if I had to choose. However, we don't choose like that. I don't do, is it this or this? No, it's both. And we can work on both. But if we work on the nickel, then the vitamin A becomes less of an issue. That's what we're after. Okay. Joe posted, the detox shutdown of nickel and vitamin A. Okay. Lynn asked, I've got an old crown with nickel. Please send a good dentist referral. Well, we do not have a network of dentists across the country. What I would suggest is if you wanted to see the episode we did with Dr. Julian Kamastra, he is a biological dentist. He is in Canada, but he would you can get like a second opinion from him if you sign up for his, I think, Talkin' Teeth, or if you contact him directly. He can do like a second opinion if you send him your x-rays, and he can look at that stuff, or he could give you some of his advice, or he could help you find a dentist in your area or close enough to you much better than I could. So Julian Kamastra, Camastra. And there's an episode on our live streams with him where he went over PowerPoint of his stuff. Okay, so still going. Let's see. So I'm still looking through the chats, trying to figure out what to. Archon here suggested musician Halsey would be a good patient. Well, don't ever assume somebody's a good patient. They might be a good case, but good patient is a very different term. She's been treating her liver for a range of conditions. Blood cancer, she takes chemo for twice a year, has POTS, endometriosis, bipolar, and is ADHD. So, where was the next one? There, I know you had another one. There it was. Where did it go? Oh, it reset my chat again. I can't stand that it does this. Anyway, the problem is like, so people are, when as you're saying, Archon, this person is treating, quote unquote, treating their liver. That's usually means they're taking toxic things. Like if you don't know the long-term research on milk thistle, folks, milk thistle is a member of the ragweed family, and long-term milk thistle actually harms the liver. There is no magical free pass with herbs. And I went over the research on milk thistle long-term damaging the liver before. Everybody thinks milk thistle is good for your liver. And then there's crap on the TV about turmeric being good for your liver. It's not good for your liver. Curcumin is not good for your liver. Literally yellow toxins that accumulate in the liver and cause damage. So, yeah, there's going to be a reason why Halsey doesn't get better, because the way they treat their liver, then that's going to end badly because they don't understand these concepts. But, you know, celebrities are prey to all the bad information that we are too. Kind of like Brian Johnson having gastritis and an autoimmune gut condition now. And now he says he's switching away from his focus on longevity and living a long time to fixing disease because he gave himself diseases by his stupid approach, which is veganism with tons of brightly colored fruits and vegetables and like 100 pills of supplements a day, very few of which are actually essential nutrients. He is the biggest example of how stupid the concept of biohacking is. He is the greatest warning story of why biohacking is short-term focused and it doesn't work. Oh, Taramu says Aurora's called for tonight. Big sunspot currently facing us now or soon. Yeah, so stuff's going on. Oh, Conscious B3 said all day yesterday, kids were absolutely wild behaviors all day and fine today. Okay. Let's see. J. Rose said, I was asking Kelsey, did you have headaches at the beginning of the PEA? I had one the first day, less severe the second day, and just a slight headache the third day. Then they stopped altogether. That would most likely be a sign of detox happening. Like you're getting rid of something got stirred up, started coming out, and then you got symptoms. And then the toxicity was removed. This would be the opposite of like drugs, right? People who take medications or drugs, at the start, they may feel fine taking it and it makes their symptoms better. And then over time, they get side effects that get worse the longer they take it. Whereas this was like at the start, you take something, there's a bit of a detox reaction, a bit of a discomfort, and then that goes away and everything's better after that. Oh, yeah, Fernando Espina said, Mark Ripito is pink. Oh my gosh, yeah. He is absolutely pink. I'm going to say my guess is, well, I mean, we know Mark Ripito loves his dairy. He advocates for young men, the gallon of milk a day diet. So that's, you eat a regular diet plus you drink a gallon of milk a day in between, at your meals, between your meals. That's your goal, is to get that gallon of milk a day down. And long-term, that much dairy is not going to be good for anybody, but it's possible that Mark may have, kind of a, I wouldn't doubt Mark being a big Texas tough guy that he likes his beer. I wouldn't doubt it. So that's probably part of that too. Oh gosh. Joe was saying Earthica Star. PEA isn't urine. Yeah, it's not pee. It's not PEE. It's not piss. It's an awesome supplement. It's inexpensive too. Good to take all the time. Yes. Okay. She added, I heard people who are red is because they are rusting. It's too much blood in the skin, most likely. It's like the markers of inflammation. Tumor, rubor, color, and dolor. What do those mean? Tumor is swelling, rubor is redness, color is heat, and dolor is pain. So the redness is a marker of inflammation. It's probably not rust accumulating in their skin. The rust does accumulate in their liver, but it's probably not iron accumulating in their skin. So, oh, yeah. And the argument against microplastics is that it takes thousands of years to biodegrade, yet anything plastic I leave out over winter crumbles and breaks in a year. Yeah, why does it crumble and break? Because it can be oxidized. What is our major detox process? Oxidation. There's people on the internet, on Twitter, claiming that you cannot detox microplastics. And yet I showed research that microplastics are showing up in the bile. How'd they get there? How did the microplastics get into the bile? Because your liver put them there. Oh, okay. Val Zimmer got some bamboo measuring spoons from Amazon. That's cool. Good to know that. And Yaroslav said possible good alternative is silicone measuring spoons. Yeah. Okay. Rewilder's Guide said space weather also drives Earth's weather. True. Another volcanic activity as explained by Stefan Burns. Yes, Stefan Burns is he's not a bad YouTube channel to watch. You got to be careful of is it Stefan? I think spelling it. I think you might have spelled his name wrong. I think it's Stefan and then Burns. Yeah. So, but he's kind of gotten into really like it just his thumbnails and his titles of his videos are really pushing the fear porn. So, Joe, I may need to take that word out. I should probably take that word out. Can you mark the time? YouTube doesn't like that word. And then, but yeah, I think Stefan's videos are great. I just don't like his titles and his thumbnails really trying to drive those fear clicks. Hugo Contreras said of myself, I started PEA a week ago. I feel more energy. Hey. Plastic tea bags and Starbucks tea in many companies. Well, there's no need to drink tea at all. Just Andy says, would the pectin be detoxing tonsils? It's possible. Tonsils are full of toxicity. I went over that in a previous episode on nickel. So it's probably just grabbing on. I mean, it could be coming from the top down, grabbing onto some stuff in the tonsils, holding onto it well enough that it goes down into the gut. Or it could be grabbing onto stuff that may be coming up as like part of reflux or GERD or silent reflux, which is then toxicity coming up into the throat, causing things like a cough that nobody can figure out. Just a passerby says, so can soluble fiber from oats still be good? We need to, the oats seem to be, for those of you who are here doing the low nickel diet, oats seem to be one of the worst nickel sources for people. Like I believe the beta glucan in oats. Now, I'm not saying beta glucan's bad. Listen to me carefully here. I think beta glucan, if you guys want to see, let me show you the website. Why is this taking forever? My goodness. Okay, anyway, I'll come back to it. Beta glucan is the amount of research on it in terms of helping all sorts of conditions is outrageous. Now, as you'll see when this website, if it ever finishes loading, maybe it's not that one, maybe it's this one. There it is. Okay. So, Joe, you can show this if you want. So this is beta-glucan.com. Now, the website has not fully loaded yet, but what this has, oh, great, just disappeared. Awesome. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Beta-glucan.co, here we go. Search thousands of beta-glucan studies across 30 health topics. There's more than 30 health topics you can go through. Did they just change this website? Looks like they changed it. Anyway, beta-glucan has research on it helping all of these conditions. Now, beta-glucan is the main soluble fiber, one of the main ones in oats. So why do oats cause such a nickel problem? And why does the beta-glucan that they talk about here the research on beta-glucan has mainly been done on beta-glucan that is sourced from basically a specific type of brewer's yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, I believe, where the beta-glucan is in the cell wall of the yeast. Okay? So they're basically digesting the cell wall of the yeast. They're getting the beta-glucan, which is a fiber, out of it, and then they are packaging it up and selling it to people. So if they were growing yeast in a lab to sell it, to break it down into beta-glucan and to sell it, that would likely not have nickel in it. Following me? Because they're growing in the lab, they're not going to add a bunch of nickel to it. Now, oats that grow in the ground seem to grab onto nickel, and where do they put the nickel most likely? They put it in the beta-glucan. So this is how we could have an issue from oats, because in nature, beta-glucan is meant to bind to toxins. That's what soluble fiber does. So if you grow something out, in a field or wherever, and there's nickel, they're watering the oats via pipes that are stainless steel, and they're putting nickel all over the oats, and the oats put that nickel into their soluble fiber, just like humans put fat storable toxins in their fat. Well, plants are going to put toxic metals into their soluble fiber. And this is why plant foods that are high to moderate in fiber in general, but definitely soluble fiber, are all considered high nickel, because that's where the plants put it. But if you could then take, let's say, beta-glucan that doesn't have nickel in it, then you are taking something that is primed and ready to soak up nickel wherever it comes across it. Does that make sense? That's how the beta-glucan research can be so good, because it doesn't have nickel over time as they're getting exposed to more and more nickel via stainless steel stuff and all that. That's why people who were eating oats very regularly on our program, often when they go on the low nickel diet, the very first thing they take out is oats, and then they start dumping nickel like crazy. So that's the thing about that. They used to say at the top of this page that we're looking at, the beta-glucan page, that they were talking about specifically beta-glucan 1,3/1,6 from Saccharomyces cerevisiae cell walls. That's what most of the research has been done on. So that is that. So is soluble fiber from oats still good? It doesn't work on the low nickel diet, that's for sure. But if we couldn't find out, we found out from the Cerabeta company, Cerabeta, which is beta-glucan from barley. We found out from them, they sent us their analysis for nickel, and nickel was considered to be low nickel in that. Now, Nutrim, which is a popular oat soluble oat beta-glucan powder, the Nutrim company seems to refuse to answer emails, or they don't get their emails from their contact form on their website. And I don't know if anybody's gotten through to them at all, but they don't seem to want to answer how much nickel is in their stuff. So I don't trust Nutrim anymore. But Cerabeta is a beta-glucan from plant foods that is verified low nickel based on their certificate of analysis. Yes. Okay. Let's see, anything else? Oof. Earthica Star says, I eat Shilajit resin. Is that okay? Not in my opinion. No. If it has all the minerals, remember, if you go and look at Shilajit's advertisements, they'll advertise that it has, 72 trace minerals or 84 trace elements. That means it has all the toxic elements in it. I use Shilajit in practice. I didn't find it do much of anything. I don't want things that have toxic metals in them. Shilajit is basically guaranteed to have those in it. You can't have 72 minerals in something or 72 elements in something and not have it have all the toxic elements in it. Okay. Matt Jones said, I think I heard in episode 152, Kelsey damaged her teeth from not buffering niacin. We'll be listening to it again today. Thank you, doctor. Okay, the thing that this was a we believe now that this was a misinterpretation of what we thought caused the teeth issues. So Kelsey was doing very high doses of flush niacin. And it really did help her health a lot back then. That was one thing that's why Kelsey's so into flush niacins, because it really did help her health a lot. Now, at the same time, her teeth also seemed to develop issues. Do we think it was the flush niacin, the acidity of the flush niacin? We don't really believe that anymore. What we do believe is that the flush niacin, when it was just that, she wasn't doing any binders, she wasn't doing any of the Love Your Liver stuff back at that time. We think she was actually she was improving by the flush niacin helping her detox and all that stuff, but it was also probably stirring up nickel. And so some people, I know I was nickel toxic, and knock on wood, I've never had any dental problems. And some people out there are nickel toxic and they get all sorts of teeth problems. It just depends where your weak link is. So we're really thinking, if you're worried about your teeth, like the people who drink their soda, their Coca-Cola through a straw so they don't put the acid on their teeth, which phosphoric acid is really bad for your teeth. But anyway, could acids affect the teeth? Sure. But also, if people start stirring this stuff up, that's why I'm saying with the low nickel diet and the nickel detox, if you're not going to do binders, there may be some suffering along the way. There may be quite a bit of suffering along the way. So we would rather, for the people who don't want to suffer, that's why we came up with the options of the Pectaclear and the Alginate and the Pectisol and the PEA and all that stuff. So there doesn't seem to be reports of people having teeth issues. Remember, if mainstream can find any problems with flush niacin, they will make sure you know it. There's only 8 case studies in 80 years. 8 case studies, single people who supposedly had issues from powdered or crystalline free-form flush niacin. All the other case studies are from the pharmaceutical sustained release, extended release with all the toxic waxes and slow release fillers in it. So whenever somebody is bad-mouthing flush niacin and trying to say flush niacin is bad for the liver, it's very obvious they don't know what they're talking about and that they're using research on extended release, sustained release, which in the research there have been papers literally saying that's what caused the problems. So, and none of the pharmaceutical and none of the crystalline freeform case studies were buffered, and we're not seeing teeth issues. Remember, the statin makers and the anti-cholesterol pharmaceutical crowd hates flush niacin because, again, it's a supplement and it works better than any of their meds. So if it ruined teeth, they would tell you. But if you want to buffer it, that's fine. If you take it as a pill, it's not going to be acidic in your mouth. And as I went over in one of my articles, as my rebuttal to Grant's insane article, flush niacin actually in the research has been used to help a metabolic acidosis. So they used a literal acid to help fix metabolic acidosis. Oh, so that's Joe. Are you putting up the Substack? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Lynn asked thoughts on sea moss. I don't use it. I wouldn't touch it. I don't want things that are in the ocean. Like, okay, so alginate is a processed polysaccharide, or basically fiber from the ocean. Processing it is one thing. Like kelp and seaweeds are the toxin sponges of the ocean. Like, I don't eat mushrooms. Mushrooms are the toxin sponges of the soil. I don't eat seaweeds or algae by themselves. They are the toxin sponges of the soil. Like beta glucan that's isolated from something else and purified could be very useful. Alginate that is purified from seaweeds could be very useful. It's just like the shilajit. I don't want the shilajit with the toxic stuff in it. I don't want tap water that's full of toxins. So I'm going to purify that. Like, we are not in a world where you can just buy like pristine things that aren't poisoned. So that's, yeah. We don't tend to, nobody has an herb deficiency. Nobody has a sea moss deficiency. What we have is too much toxicity and not enough of very specific essential nutrients. Okay. Okay. Oh, here's what Lisa did for her nebulizer. The amount of PEA was just a pinch mixed with 1 vial of the nebulizer saline solution. If you're going to nebulize something, folks, you need to use the saline solution or make your own. If you're going to make your own, you better do your research, because if you try to nebulize just plain like reverse osmosis water or distilled water, it's not going to feel good. Okay. Okay, you may or may not need the saline, but yeah, the saline's going to make it, like if you're going to make eye drops, use saline. If you're going to, generally saline solutions that are what are called isotonic is better for your tissues. J. Rowe made a comment about their dog earlier. Happy to provide. Her vet was stunned by the news that she had made it 3 weeks without meds and no rebound. Oh, this is Jillian. Same one that said she would have to be on them for life. Yeah, so for those of you who saw the dog testimonial multiple episodes ago, that was Jillian's dog. If you want to get in touch with her, you can find her in the Love Your Liver network. I'm not giving her contact information out publicly. But yeah, so she was doing the low nickel diet, and that was really helping for the dog. And then she got on the PEA. So yeah, I'm going to say this for those of you who are going through the low nickel diet. Okay. There's something interesting that happens. So this is Kelsey's comment. There's something interesting, like with the low nickel diet, people will lose their appetite, and they often, many of you have experienced this, they kind of develop an aversion to meat, especially heavy red meat. Does this stick around forever? No. Does it happen? Absolutely, to some people. It doesn't happen to everybody. But if you need to, I talk about this in my low nickel diet on the second episode of the low nickel, the nickel series that's kind of started here on the YouTube. But if you need to do some dairy for some protein, that's fine. Kelsey said here she had to eat some casein and whey. She was doing some dairy stuff, and I think she even did a bit of whey protein because of the nickel orthorexia. Orthorexia would be obsessing over nickel, right? The like orthorexics. And anorexia would be when your body doesn't want to eat. Anorexia just means not eating. And so when I was talking to her, she was like, I'm going to do some dairy. And I was like, that's fine. I need you to eat. This is always an important thing. And we've had multiple people say that they feel like eating less meat during the big low nickel phase where they're dumping nickel, and they do better on a bit of dairy for a while. And then that goes away. I think it's because the nickel is creating a lot of the nickel is inhibiting your ammonia detox. When you eat too much meat for you start making too much ammonia, and then your body literally tells you, don't eat so much meat. We don't like making that much ammonia. And then as you get less nickel toxic, the ammonia problem goes away, and then you can eat meat more again. That's the theory. And as Kelsey said, it would have been worse to not eat enough, correct, than to only eat not enough, quote, perfect foods. Yes. Okay. Oh, it reset my chat again. Whenever I talk too long, it resets my... Yeah, that's the one. 246 is the one where I talk about my diet approach to the low nickel stuff. If you just go on the internet or you have ChatGPT do it, boy, you can always go with... This is one thing I'm going to tell you that people do. I give them enough rope to hang themselves with. Okay, I bring up PEA and everybody goes and starts thinking that they need micronized and ultra micronized. And then I'm like, wait, no. I kind of said, do normal PEA. The first episode I said, do normal PEA, but if you want to try these other ones, you could. That was a mistake. We started getting reports of people not always feeling great on the micronized ones. And then we found out about the PVP. And then I came and I told everybody recently to stick with the normal stuff. Sometimes I give people the word PEA, and then they go and they start Googling on their own, and they think they find something better, and then they do it, and then later I have to say, no. That wasn't what was supposed to happen. So anyway, be careful, because if you start going and Googling or ChatGPTing low nickel diet, like one of the biggest low nickel diet people out on the internet, a DO, will tell you that organ meats are okay on a low nickel diet. What? That is the most wrong thing that could have been said. Organs accumulate toxic metals. Organs accumulate nickel. So let's see. Lynn asks, I wonder if PEA could help dogs' dental if applied to gums. I don't see why not. It's cheap. Why not try it? Bird asks, can you take the niacin with zeolite? Yes. I'll just make it simple. All of the supplements that Nutrition Detective makes are all okay to take with each other. I'm going to say it now for those of you who are confused. It is fine. Kelsey and I have thought about it, and we have come to the conclusion that it is absolutely fine to take your zinc with the niacin. If you're still trying to separate them, just don't bother. The little bit of interaction that may take place between zinc picolinate and the flush niacin is so tiny that it's not worth even bothering. So basically just know, if you ask, can I take this ND supplement with this ND supplement or this one or this? Yes, you can take them all together. I put flush niacin in my big, full of binders and other stuff, detox sludge in the morning, and I still flush. So I'm still absorbing plenty of niacin from that detox sludge, even though there's tons of binders in there. And yes, zeolite is in there with the niacin. So yes. Is NAD okay? It doesn't work as well as flush niacin at all. NAD is extracellular. NAD stays outside your cells if you take it in a pill or you get an IV. It does not go into your cells. Flush niacin gets into your cells, and then it makes NAD inside of your cells, which is where the NAD is supposed to be. So if you want to spend a bunch of money and waste it on NAD or NMN or NR, these other supposed NAD boosters, you can. They don't. Flush niacin is less expensive and makes more NAD than anything else out there. And that's what the research says. So if you want to avoid the flush so bad, I guess you can pay a lot of money to do less good. But yeah. Okay. Just Andy said, I think fiber makes me fart less since reducing nickel. This makes sense because nickel ruins your gut biome. And as you get rid of the nickel, your gut biome starts to fix itself. And then you'll literally have a different arrangement of probiotics, good and bad bacteria in your gut. Christina says, so if the ND sun fiber doesn't agree, even in tiny amounts, what else? Pectaclear, other soluble fibers you could do. I mentioned the Cerabeta as a beta glucan from barley that you could do that we know is low nickel. You could do apple pectin capsules. I use the Vitamatic brand when I did use them. You could do, what else is there? If you wanted to, you could try glucomannan. I don't think it grabs onto nickel very much itself. But if you just wanted some fiber and some gelling, that could do it. What else is there? Oh, alginate. Sodium alginate, potassium alginate. Those are also considered fibers, and they really grab onto nickel. So those are the other options. Let's see. Yeah, Baptized in Fire said he uses mostly apple pectin as a main binder. He was using a lot of it. Oh, wow. No. Yeah. Archon was talking about Halsey, I guess, again. Doesn't matter how rich they are if they don't have the right doctor. So how do you get the horse to the water? That's what we're trying to do with the, I will tell you guys, like, I've been putting out these new shorts and reels, and on YouTube, they're doing well. And we're putting the same shorts and reels on TikTok and Instagram. And I can tell you that TikTok and Instagram have literally almost frozen my follower count. In like 2 weeks of all these new reels that are working on YouTube, I'm getting like 2 new followers on TikTok. And I don't think I'm getting any on Instagram. So Meta has shut me down. TikTok has shut me down. Yeah. So if you're going to watch this, make sure, on YouTube, make sure to find the hype button under this video. I think it's in the 3-dot menu. Try to find the hype button. Every time you watch a video here that's new, the hype button disappears after, I don't know, 2 weeks. So find the hype button. Of course, do the liking and subscribing and commenting. But what does YouTube really like? They like the hype button, and they like the more time you spend watching the videos. Because remember, YouTube is in the business of selling ads. So technically, the more ads you watch, the more they're going to promote that channel to other people, because their whole goal is to sell ads. Remember, if you don't pay for a product, you are the product. So if you're watching YouTube for free and you're pissed about the ads, well, you get to watch YouTube for free because the ads pay for YouTube, right? That's just how it works. Heather Parker said, Jack Cruz looks like he enjoys liquor regularly. I'm not going to make any comment on that other than there are certain indicators in people's faces that over time can lead one to believe certain things are being consumed, like the big red bulbous nose and things of that nature, the red face, the red bulbous nose, the puffiness. Yeah, there's definitely signs that one can look for. And I don't know, is alcohol low in deuterium? That's just a joke. Alcohol would be all alcohols, I went over an episode or two ago, all alcohol is going to be high nickel. So if it's made in stainless steel pot vats and it's acidic by nature, and then if they're distilling it, they're heating it in stainless steel. So if you see like a vodka that's distilled 10 times, yes, it's been distilled 10 times in stainless steel boilers. So, Elmer asks, a persistent vestibular disorder, any help? We've had multiple people comment that their tinnitus got better with our approaches. So being that all that's in the same area, this is, if you haven't found help yet, PEA helping with nerves would be a very good early start, I would say. Let me see. Let me go do this. Let me do vestibular, palmatoil. It's amazing what you can find when you just search PEA with other stuff. Here, let's go share this tab. Let's go look at this one. Vestibulodynia, synergy between PEA and transpolydatin and transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. Actually, you know what? I have somebody I need to send this to. I'm going to do it right now. We are working with some people on a sudden sensory neural hearing loss. And we're trying to figure out things that we can do to help. Let me just go and I want to have a definition for you guys. Okay. Oh, this is not, okay. This is why I wanted to look it up. Okay, this is not an inner ear problem. Okay, so we were thinking vestibular problem as in like an inner ear problem, but vestibulodynia, formerly known as vulvar vestibulitis syndrome, is a chronic pain condition defined as pain lasting at least 3 months in the vestibule, the area surrounding the vaginal and urethral openings, without an identifiable cause such as infection or skin disease. So these are two very different areas that use the word vestibule as part of their thing. So we're not talking about that right now, but ladies, if you have pain issues down there, you might be interested in looking into this paper. And then there was the other paper where it was, let me just show you this one again. Acute. There it is. So for those of you who have menstrual symptoms, ladies, PEA for acute menstrual pain. A randomized crossover double-blind placebo-controlled trial. They have all the magic words, right? This is one dose, okay? Participants consumed 300 milligrams of PEA at menstrual pain onset. So the menstrual pain's already there. And then they took only 300 milligrams of PEA. If pain persisted, a second dose was permitted after 2 hours. So 2 doses at most. PEA resulted in a significant reduction of pain scores at 1, 1.5, 2, and 2.5 hours post-dosage compared to placebo. Now, does it necessarily make it all go away? No. Ladies, your menstrual problems are toxicity problems and deficiency problems. Is PEA going to fix it in 1 or 2 doses? No. PEA can't fix a zinc deficiency, for example. Like only zinc can fix a zinc deficiency. So anyway, but this is just an interesting thing. So ladies, if you have pain problems down there, oh, and guys, there was another study. Well, basically, if you have pain in your genital region, PEA is very good. Let me see if I can find, there it is. I'll just go over this one again. For the guys, let me get through the bot gate. Misdiagnosed chronic pelvic pain, pudendal neuralgia responding to a novel use of PEA. So it helped guys with pain down in their perineum. Okay. So if you got pain in your privates, PEA would be very likely a good thing to test out. Okay. Where else was I? It's here. Yeah. So yeah, Hopeful Healing did oh, sorry, Joe. Switching to organic cream of wheat for breakfast instead of oats. Yeah, you can. I forget which one. Look up cream of wheat in terms of, you can find there's different ones. Just make sure you get one that doesn't have the brand. Oh, Suspicious Observers. Yeah, the Suspicious Observers, Matthew Jones was saying, they're another good space weather thing. I used to watch their stuff, but then I just got kind of bored because it seemed like every day was just a slight variation. Every day's update was just a slight variation on the day before. And yeah. So is raw beef okay? If you get good raw beef, if you get good beef, yeah, raw beef's fine. Is barley coffee not recommended then because of high nickel? I would probably, to be on the safe side, I would avoid it personally. Especially during the low nickel phase. If you can't verify it, if you can talk to the company and say, have you tested it for nickel? And they tested it and they can tell you what the amount is, and you figure out that that's a low nickel thing, then that would be fine. But yeah. Let me see. Intuitive IFS therapy asks, is ionic mineral selenium drops okay? Seems to be the only one I can tolerate. Yeah, that's fine. Just you want to really avoid sodium selenite and sodium selenate. With an I, sodium selenite and sodium selenate with an A. Those are what are called inorganic seleniums. And if you look in the research, those are the ones that are associated with the selenium toxicity problems. And the other ones that we tend to use, the selenium glycinate and selenomethionine, are not. So if the drops are made with selenomethionine, which is probably what they would be, they're fine. LeBrad Paths, big fan. Can't wait to catch up later. Dropping in to say hi. 2 more hours to go for back-to-back 5 hours episodes, Doc. I'm not doing 5 hours. I'm going to wrap this up here pretty soon. Can you use regular PEA capsules? Yes, and you open them into your mouth. You pull apart the capsule and you dump the powder into your mouth. It doesn't taste bad at all. Like my brother did his first capsule. I'm really excited that my brother's doing it because he's smoking cigarettes. And I'm like, I'm going through this whole nickel thing, and I literally have a family member smoking cigarettes. And I'm like, get on the PEA and do he likes the flush. So getting him on the flush niacin was no big deal. And I told him to get on the PEA, and I said, it'll literally, he wanted, so I'll tell you guys a little story about what I told my brother. My brother wanted to do it, so he said, I'm going to quit cigarettes and then get on the PEA. And I said, no. That's the wrong order. You get on the PEA and the flush niacin, and then you will literally want to smoke fewer cigarettes. Your body will walk you away from the cigarettes. And I talked to him before I left to come up here, after he'd only been doing the PEA for a couple of days, and he's like, I'm on a lot less cigarettes already. And I was like, amazing. So you do not need to go cold turkey and then try to get on the PEA or the flesh niacin for addictions. I went over PEA for addictions several episodes ago. No, this is, if you're addicted to things, whether it's coffee or caffeine or nicotine or weed or kratom, whatever, that kratom, man, that stuff, that, yes, it may help. Baptized in Fire said, I think it helped him get out of a situation he was in, but generally, man, stay away from that kratom. The more that comes out about that feel free thing, where it's like kratom and kava, where people are getting addicted and drinking 10 bottles of it a day, and they're spending $100 a day on this stuff. That is really, like, if you want to, actually, you know what? I want to find that one. A guy was kind of doing a little bit of a documentary on the company that made that feel free supplement. They call it gas station heroin. And it's 2 herbs. There it is. Okay. I want to show you guys so this is the video. Okay. Maha's gas station heroin. How Botanic Tonics Feel Free partnered with the Department of Justice and RFK Jr. Let me tell you something about there's a convenience store close to, 5 minutes away from Kelsey's house. I saw this Feel Free there, and I asked the lady who worked there about it, because I think I'd heard something about it, and she said, I almost quit my job here because of that stuff, because she will not support it. She is so against it because she literally sees what it's doing to people. She almost quit her job because she could not support working in a place that sold that stuff. I highly suggest watching this. And your Maha government is, and I'm not saying that I don't believe in any politicians, but for Maha to be involved in this product, and Ben Greenfield was promoting it. He got addicted to it. They talk about that in this episode. Like, Ben Greenfield got addicted to it. Other big names have gotten addicted to it. Like, this stuff is nasty. Let me show you the, well, anyway, I would highly suggest watching this. Joe, I'll send you the link. Oh, wait, that's the wrong Telegram thread. There we go. There it is. Yeah. I highly suggest watching this and really watch out for this. And so the funny thing is, like, so they're selling gas station heroin at gas stations now called Feel Free. And now they're selling peptides at gas stations and convenience stores. If they sell it at a convenience store, you should assume it's not good for you. It's a very simple metric. Is it sold in convenience stores? Now okay, some convenience stores will sell a banana or some apples. Okay, you still have to be intelligent about this. And if you're at a convenience store and you got to eat something and you get some beef jerky, yeah, the beef jerky is still going to have some really crap ingredients in it, but that's still probably the best thing you can get there. Otherwise, unless you know what you're getting and you know what you're doing, generally you can assume that if it's sold in a convenience store or a gas station, it is significantly bad for you. So when you see peptides there, or you see this herbal tonic called Feel Free, it is bad for you. And they sell CBD there. Depending upon your state, they may sell THC there. Like it's not very, cigarettes, alcohol, high fructose corn syrup of every flavor. It's not hard to figure out. So there's that. Okay. I think I'm going to... Elmer asks, I'm new to all of this. Where could I start? I think it was, what, 245? Episode 245. Is that right, Joe? The first nickel episode? I mean, you can always, Elmer, you can always binge watch the entire channel. But if you wanted the most up-to-date stuff, go to, I think 246 was the second episode. 245 was the first episode of the low nickel diet evolution that we are going through. So we're at 260 now. So that was 15 episodes ago. But yeah, that's where you could start. Hamza asks if fiber-rich foods are the ones that tend to be high in nickel. Could green tea be low in nickel because it is low in fiber? The tea plant concentrates fluoride from the soil. So the tea plant in general has its own issues with toxicity. So that's where that is at. Oh yeah, if you wanted to search my YouTube channel for nickel, you can do that. Also, if you want to search for, you can go into the info box below the videos, and there's the Vercel.app, I believe, is the website that's there. It's a longer website than that, but that's where you can go and search all my video transcripts to look for that word. If there's a word you want to look for, if you want to look for PEA, if you want to look for nickel, if you want to look for cadmium, if you want to look for lead, you can just go and search that term, and it'll give you the quotes. Bert said, thank you for answering your question. You are very welcome. Yes, Get On My Way says, seeing more bubbles in the urine, doing low nickel, PEA, and niacin. The pee changes with detox, absolutely. Tara Moo says, can pee help quit coffee and tea too? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so like you're seeing, people are saying their energy's better. Well, why are most people addicted to coffee and tea? Because of the caffeine, because their energy sucks. Because if you didn't see my duration paradox on caffeine the other day, caffeine literally makes your energy worse over time. So if you can get off the caffeine and get more energy with like the PEA and flesh niacin, then yes, it would help. Lynn said gas stations also sold K2 spice. Talk about brain rot. Yeah, the bath salts and all that stuff. Oh, here's a super chat. Sorry, I didn't see this one. Okay, this is an interesting question, and it's valid. Thank you for the super chat, and Barry. My brother is in prison. He was on Accutane years ago. He has a lot of insomnia and constipation. I can get him some contraband, but can only get niacin or PEA. Which would be best? Okay, well, this is not just okay. Let me do a disclaimer here. This is a thought experiment I'm going to do. I am not advocating sneaking anything into any type of prison or jail, because that would not be good for my medical license. So, if someone out there was only able to get one of those two items, wherever they are, whatever situation they're in, and they could only do one, if they were just after relief, I would have to prioritize the PEA if I had to pick one. And I would definitely not, I would start slow, and I would definitely not be conservative on my dosing as I worked up over time. So, I might work up to, if I was in that situation, I might work up to 2,400, 3,000 milligrams a day. Remember to open it or put the powder in the mouth, whether you're opening the capsule or doing the powder. But that's where I'd start, especially with the insomnia and the constipation and the crap food that is probably, that is served in prisons. Yeah, I would definitely the PEA to help with the inflammation. And then we actually have that one study showing that PEA protected the eye from all trans retinoic acid, that form of vitamin A. So, yes. Oh, Heather Parker said PEA IMO. I agree. Thank you for that super chat. And Lynn said the prison diet, wow, it is criminal. Inmates' health is wrecked. Yes. I remember my buddy, back in the day, I had a buddy who went to Tent City in Arizona, where they have the jail out in the desert of Phoenix. And it was a good deterrent. Like, nobody really wanted to be out there, right? But my buddy said the food was so horrible that he was like hoarding grapefruits because it was the only real food he could get. And he was only there for like 3 days. But yeah. Okay. Ad says, Enberry, one in my experience, MSG was the best for sleep improvement. Yeah, things that help sleep is kind of very individual. But that's cool. So for those of you who doubt MSG, I mean, you can keep doubting MSG. MSG is if you're ever interested in taking a protein powder, literally MSG would be what I would choose. I'm not going to make a whole drink out of MSG. I would just put MSG on my food, and I personally add some glutamic acid to my detox sludge. Glutamate, glutamic acid, monosodium glutamate makes all the protein you eat go further and work better. It's that simple. So instead of shoving more protein powders down your cake hole, make your food taste better and add some MSG to it. It's pretty easy. There's no need to be shy either. Now that I'm at Kelsey's, I got to buy I'm going to go buy a popcorn salt shaker, and I'm going to turn that into my MSG shaker. That's how I do it. I have at where I used to live, I have a popcorn salt shaker there, and the only thing that goes in there is MSG. So I season my food however I want to with the salt or the 50-50 salt and all that stuff. And then I literally put MSG on top of that. Or if I'm eating something that's already been salted, I sprinkle some MSG on that. That is how I do it. Matthew says, is PEA a reuptake inhibitor, like as in like selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor? No, it is not. And I think that's all the chats we're going to go through. Okay, so we are going to, Joe, could you just double check and make sure I didn't miss any super chats before we wrap this up? I'm going to scroll through myself too. There was one super chat. Yeah, I got to that one from Enberry. Thank you for that one. Let me see. I'm just going to scroll through it real quick. Thank you for all the hearts. Yeah, remember to hit the hype button, especially on your phone. Let's see, just the one. Okay. Oh, Kelsey was giving a recipe for the PEA and the lotion. Like if you're going to mix it with the mag lotion. And we're working on a PEA lotion right now, folks. There's going to be all sorts of cool stuff in it. Yeah, I got to contact my formulator, not Kelsey this time, but my cosmetic formulator, the same guy who helped me make the original mag lotion. I've got him working on an additional lotion. We're not replacing the mag lotion, but I've got him working on the PEA plus other stuff lotion. I got to check in with him. So don't go asking Julie about it. It's not going to be in the store. We're formulating it right now. But she said, Kelsey was saying about 2 teaspoons of of if you wanted to mix a whole bottle of mag lotion with PEA, listen, so this is 1 bottle of our 8 ounces of mag lotion, the whole bottle. You're going to add 2 teaspoons of PEA to the bottle and then shake it up real good. And you probably want to let it sit for a while so that the PEA has time to, like, you know, soften and dissolve and mix into the magnesium lotion. Shake it multiple times. And that would be, so Kelsey said that's the concentration. That's probably 3%, my guess. So 2 teaspoons in a bottle of magnesium lotion, and then you'll have PEA and magnesium to apply to your aches and pains and all that stuff. Okay. Oh, wait, Jillian gave another update. Here, let me see. Jillian said, let me see if I can find, I don't think I'll find the post. I'm just going to read it. Jillian said, weekly update on my dog. There it is. Joe got it. Going strong with PEA and Pectaclear, doing phenomenal now that the worst of post-prednisone detox is done. 3 weeks off meds and the best blood panel results of her life. Nice work, Jillian. Glad we could help with that. You guys, PEA is used in veterinary medicine extremely successfully. Oh, and she added, happy to provide. Her vet was stunned by the news that she had made. Oh, yeah, we already went over that one. Yeah, we went over that one. So, again, like, here's as Jillian was saying, and I appreciate her doing this, she said all the things that we do in the Love Your Liver program, especially now that we're doing low nickel, her dog got better as she did the original Love Your Liver, where there was the beans and the whole grains, and then we got into the low nickel diet, and her dog got even better. And then she had the PEA, and her dog got even better. And now the dog's off prednisone that the dog had been on for years. So if they tell you don't feed your dog something, like don't feed your dog chocolate, it's not good for humans either. I'm going to tell you, the funny thing was when I started looking into all these things that I was thinking were not good for humans, and then I looked at the list of things that are not good for dogs, it was funny how the same things were coming up. Now, the one thing Jillian made a comment on, which is true, dogs are not going to do any xylitol. So if you decide to use xylitol yourself, dogs don't get xylitol. But that's the only thing that Jillian said was different in the general Love Your Liver approach versus what she did with her dog. So I didn't go into this. I'm not a vet. I don't claim to be a vet. We have people out there who are applying these principles to their dogs, and their dogs are getting better. So for those out there who would argue that it's placebo, go argue that with dog results. Right? Are we convincing our dog to get better mentally? I don't think so. That's why it's great to have dogs getting better, because then we prove that this works and that we are not so different. Oh, and dogs are carnivores too, right? They're supposed to be, but we start feeding them some carbs, like let's say white rice, and the dogs do better. I want to tell you something about the all muscle meat carnivore, or all like very, very low carb diets, or quote unquote no carb diets, which is technically impossible because if you eat meat, there's still glycogen in the meat. Okay. There's no such thing as a zero carb diet if you're eating meat. It'd just be like there's no such thing as a zero vitamin A diet. Anyway, first of all, if you're eating a super excessive amount of meat as a human, you're going to make a ton of ammonia. Second, if you're eating only meat and fat and your body has to have glucose to live, literally to live, you have to have glucose in your blood. You don't have to eat carbs to get glucose in your blood because your body can use energy to break down protein and fat and turn them into carbs for you. So your body's literally saying you must have carbs to live in your blood and in your brain. If you don't give it carbs, it's going to waste energy and be horribly inefficient and turn protein and fat into carbs for you. Now, I want you to think about this. If you don't, one of the things we see in like all muscle meat carnivores or any carnivores or super like keto people is that when they come off of that diet eventually, which they almost all do, their old health problems come back. Why would this be? Because they don't detox and they use any extra energy their system has to turn proteins and fats into carbohydrates so they don't go into a hypoglycemic coma. So it is a very inefficient thing to do when you could just take in some freaking carbs and actually run your detox systems. So this, and if you know anything about predators and their liver, predators who eat only meat and organ meats, they have the most toxic livers to eat. So if you were to, that's why people don't consume predator livers, because they're super toxic. Well, if predators detoxed well, they wouldn't be super toxic, would they? Oh, so they're proving that they don't detox well. And maybe they can handle tons of toxicity in their liver, but humans aren't designed as carnivores. So maybe we need more carbs than they do, okay? You don't have these flat molars for chewing meat, okay? Anyway, I'm all done. Okay, so let's go through the links. Okay. Hope you all enjoyed that. This is not going to be a 4-hour thing, but it's close because I can't shut up. Anyway, nutritiondetective.com. This is our main website. This is where you can find our shop, which is where we sell supplements. If you want to get into the VIP store where we sell our supplements with discounts, that is only available to Love Your Liver members. That is a private password protected store where we have things like extra exclusive things like the Naya soda. If you would like a membership to the Love Your Liver program, the thing we talk about here that I'm still working on getting the nickel toxicity stuff in. So if you want the nickel toxicity stuff, I would suggest you watch my live streams starting at 2:45. But anyway, the Love Your Liver program is where you can talk about this stuff with people who understand it and not go to places that are insane like Reddit, where people will tell you that nickel's not a problem. Or they'll tell you that you got better was just placebo. It wasn't what you actually changed in your diet. If you didn't know, Reddit basically will not allow any discussion of me or my work. And that was back from the vitamin A days. So anyway, consultations, if you would like to work with Kelsey on hair testing and blood testing and do a consultation, that's available on the consultation tab. And then on the instructions link, we have instructions for all of our supplements. If you would like to hear me talk about it, I'm going to go over, my plan next week is to go over all the ND supplements and how to use them as a general thing. So each one of those that you could click on has a drop-down article with it. Okay, so moving on. The Love Your Liver program, that's what we were talking about before. If you want to go directly to that link, that's members.nutritiondetective.com. We have our free email course. If you want to sign up for our newsletter and hear about our announcements, you can go to madnessofmodernnutrition.com and sign up, and you get a free little PDF course that used to be sent out as emails. Now it's sent out as a PDF. In all likelihood, you're probably watching this video here on YouTube. So youtube.com/nutritiondetective or @nutritiondetective. This is where you can find our videos, and this is where we do the live stream. If you, and again, on YouTube, right? Like, subscribe, comment. Most important things to help YouTube channels you like is to find the hype button and click that within like the first week or two of a video being out. It disappears after a while. And then the other thing would be to simply watch the videos more on this channel. We have Rumble. So if you want to watch stuff on Rumble instead, Rumble has all of our episodes, including episode 198, which was removed from YouTube, and that's there. So I like, if I'm going to edit today's video for YouTube, the unedited one will be on Rumble. So I wish I didn't have to do that, but Twitter, if you want to follow me on Twitter, x.com/NutriDetect. Instagram, where I'm being shadow banned so bad, the.realnutritiondetective. Oh, that's my link tree. That's where you can find the links. That's where the Spotify podcast is. We do put it on Spotify. We do put it on Apple Podcasts. Facebook.com. We got the.realnutritiondetective on Meta. TikTok @NutritionDetective. Substack, which Joe showed earlier, drgarrettsmith.substack.com. The lovely Beth Martens inside the Love Your Liver program. She does a weekly, no-cost Deprogramming Your Health group. It's a Zoom group. It's a small group. And she does that for free. We have no financial arrangements whatsoever. Beth actually reminded me that I had done 3 sessions with her, not just 2, as I said before, and I got a lot out of them. So if you want to see if Beth... if any of the stuff that Beth does would be good for you, you can apply to work with her in a 30-minute zero-cost session. She can tell you about, her private sessions. She can tell you about her trainings. She can tell you about, she does have a book if you want to read that first. But yeah, you can find her website at bethmartens.com and work with Beth. Then we have the, she helped me to do the Love Your Liver Toxic Bile Paradigm series, which was 231 to 233. And I want to thank her for that again. The Reviv Mouthguard. I did 2 episodes on skull shape. One of them was with Ken Lever, the creator of the Reviv Mouthguard, which I wear every night. I use the R3 extra large size now because I have graduated to a bigger palette, if you will. And this can help. This is a quote unquote minimal effort way to reshape your skull. And Ken has lots of testimonials of people improving their health with just his mouth guard. So it's not just a mouth guard, though. You can't just put a mouth guard in and expect things to happen. It's called a flat plane mouth guard. So it allows your teeth to move while you wear the mouth guard. So don't just go thinking, oh, I have a mouth guard at home. My dentist made me. No, it doesn't work the same. Anyway, those are the 2 Love Your Liver episodes where I talk about skull shape, 238 and 239. And if you want to use the affiliate code, you get a discount with the code detective there. Sperti lamps. Okay, you need sunlight or UVB to be healthy. If you want to do, if you're, I'm up in northern Idaho now, so I'm going to have to be concerned about the sun during the winter months. So I've already scoped out, like the gym I belong to has a $5 per use tanning bed. Kelsey has a Sperti lamp. I even have one of those seasonal affective disorder lights where it's literally blue light to help you not be depressed in the winter. The SAD lights, the SAD lights, the seasonal affective disorder lights do not make UVB. They make no ultraviolet light at all. So you can't just substitute these things. And red light does not substitute for UV light. These are different types of lights. So, just pay attention. It's not just you buy something that's a light and you put it on you and it does all the stuff that all the other ones do. That doesn't work that way. Anyway, if you want to get them, they have 2 different lamps. They have a tanning lamp or a vitamin D lamp. They both make vitamin D. They can both tan you somewhat. You pick which one you want to do. Then we have my GLASP, which I was trying to do today. GLASP has not been highlighting all the websites as well as they should anymore. But it's what I got. So until I find something better, this is what I got. So if you want to go to that website, glasp.co, Joe, if you want to show that screenshot or share it, all the things I highlighted in today's episode will be on my GLASP. So you can search my highlights for keywords like nickel. See, like there's the one we just went over, vestibulodynia. So all the studies I went over today are there. You can also find them in the Google Doc that Joe will put in the comments as the pinned comment. And then, so if you ever want to see stuff I highlighted or you heard me talk about it and you want to go find it, GLASP would be one of the places to do it. Okay, then we're going to wrap it up here. We have Me. I am Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective, and we are here figuring out why the world's health is falling apart. And always remember, the purpose of a system is what it does. So if everybody's getting sick, that's the purpose of the system. Here is the episode we went over today, PEA for flu, colds, COVID, and long COVID, the supplement that worked too well. Episode number 260. So yes, this is 5 years. Hey, I'll give myself a little clap. This is 5 years straight of no missed weeks of episodes. We have put out an episode every week for the last 5 years. So I don't know too many other people who can say that. That's kind of like not missing any school, right? Where they give you the perfect attendance record. Someday we won't do it every week, but for now, we're going to keep doing it. And thank you all for coming and watching. And we appreciate you. And we are here to help. Oh, Joe wants to make the applause. Yes, Joe, you can do that. Go ahead, make the applause sound. There we go. Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. Thanks, Joe. So yeah, so hope you all enjoyed that. Some of you have binge watched all the episodes. Some of you have watched them more than once. And then now we have the old Inner Circle videos from 8 years ago. That's how long I've been doing a weekly private live stream. I've been doing that for 8 years now. And those we're putting up the 8-year-old episodes on YouTube. So for those of you who cannot get enough of me talking, then those episodes will be up and you can watch those and get your fix on some new stuff. Okay? I will see you all next time. Thank you for coming. Please keep giving testimonials in the Love Your Liver program. And yeah, we love to share them. I think I had testimonials today, but I forgot to do them. I did. Dang it. Anyway, we'll do them next week. Okay. We will talk to you all in the future. Bye now.